Thanks for listening to episode 46 of the Unlockable podcast. Hannah and I are on part 2 of a series where we talk about our favorite games by letter of the alphabet. Back in episode 41, we covered A through I, so now we're doing J through R. Not too much to say other than that. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Whether you're 4 years in or 4 seconds in, we appreciate you, and we'd love a positive rating on your podcast platform of choice. Let's go. Welcome back to the Unlockable podcast, where I'm joined, as always, by the Game Girl Advanced SP herself.
That's me.
That seemed really quick. Did I skip a line?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
We're just so good at this.
It's a little late into the month, but Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2024.
Welcome.
How's it going, Hannah? How's 2024?
Pretty good, man. I got back from Hawaii in 2024. That was my fun thing I did for Christmas. I went to my first book off, which I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, I've been hearing about them lately. I mean, I'm sure they're not new, but I've just recently started hearing about them.
So they're super big in Japan, and so Hawaii has like a huge population of Japan, so I guess their culture is kind of like intermingled or whatever. Anyway, so there was a couple stores there. I only went to one, and it was stacked full with manga and DVDs and CDs and anime, all that kind of fun stuff, and video games. But I guess since it was in Hawaii, it was really ridiculously expensive. Like, even Madden from 20 years ago was like $20. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't get anything, but it was still fun to go to one.
I just assumed that it was a half-price books type store, but that sounds like some pop culture-y type of place. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was awesome, but definitely recommend. I think there's some in California too, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it was fun. What about you? What'd you do?
Christmas was good. I don't think I did anything for New Year. We had some people over, and I didn't even partake in the fireworks. I'm pretty sure I was upstairs playing video games. My favorite place to be.
Right.
Yeah, I had some good time off during the holidays. Played lots of video games. It's been good. The year is off to a solid start. Started taking golf lessons, so that's exciting.
Wow. That's borderline exciting.
Yeah, life is good. Life is good over here in Tejas.
Good stuff. And it's freezing over there, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was like in the teens the other week, and then today it's like freaking 70. It's a little, I mean, I guess we're used to it. It's annoying still, but I'm ready for some more cold weather.
That's what I'm talking about. Love the cold weather.
Let's check live on the air when the cold weather is coming back. It's looking like no time soon.
Yee. Yeah, our winter's over.
So yeah, we've got 12 more episodes coming at you this year. I guess this one included. I guess to provide a little insight on what we have planned for the next couple of months, we will be doing an episode in February on game franchises that thrive outside of North America, but for whatever reason, they don't do so well here. And in March, as long as everything goes according to plan and we finish the game in time, we're going to cover Okami from
Woohoo!
The PS2 and Wii and the remasters that now exist.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have not played a lot of video games this week, but I guess we will save that for the end of the episode. What are we talking about today, Hannah?
We are doing part 2 of Alphabet Soup, where we go through all of the letters of the alphabet and we pick our favorite games, or ones that, we enjoy, play the most of, or just, near and dear to our hearts.
I really love that the name of this is Alphabet Soup, and I don't think we called it that officially in part 1, but I love that we call it that.
That's what we refer to it as. It's fun. The background is literally soup.
Yeah, so today we're going through J through R. Last episode was episode 41, part 1, where we did A through I. So, if you haven't listened to that, make sure you do that because you're gonna I don't know, that's the prequel to this episode. So I don't know how you would know what's going on without listening to episode 41.
Right. I mean, the letters, they're in order, but it gets confusing.
um, who's going first?
I think you should go first.
All right, folks. Oh, you always go first, don't you? This is a new one for me.
Bring it on.
I probably have not talked about this game a whole lot, but it is definitely, it's probably like a top 100. But for the letter J, I'm going with Joust, the classic 1982 arcade game. Did you also pick Joust?
No, but that one was on my list.
Oh, okay. I Well, I was gonna start talking about my favorite things about this game, but we have a structure here. Let's go in order. Released in July of 1982, developed and published by Williams Electronics. Platform was obviously the arcades, and then it was ported to every console at the time. All of the microcomputers, all of the 8-bit machines that came a few years later, everything. It's a single screen high score based game. It is single player or 2-player co-op. It was like one of the, not the first co-op game, but it was definitely a predecessor for like the co-op genre to come in the future, which is pretty cool. Essentially, if you've never played Joust, you are a knight riding on the back of either an ostrich for player 1 or a stork for player 2. Pretty random. Your controls are literally, you have one button, and it is to push that button to flap your wings, and just like move the joystick left and right to move your player. You can flap your wings as fast as you can press the button, and the enemies on the screen are other knights, and they are riding vultures. You want to kill them, so in order to progress to the next level, you have to kill everybody on screen. That means you literally take your bird and knight combo and you like jump on the head of the enemy. And that will produce an egg from God knows where. Maybe the vulture was pregnant, which is a sad thing. The egg drops out and you have to go and collect that egg, because if you don't, the enemy will be revived a few seconds later. So that's
Makes
pretty
sense.
much the game. If you hit an enemy perfectly side by side, where your lances are the same height, hence the name of the game is Joust, you'll rebound off of each other. If you take too long on a level, there is this freaking robotic pterodactyl that will start to fly on the map, and he's like nearly impossible to kill unless you perfectly joust him with your lance right in the mouth, which I didn't know as a kid. I learned that a few years ago, and it blew my mind.
I didn't know that either.
It's very difficult for noobs like myself, or, like I know, like on some levels, I guess arcade games are kind of broken, right? Like people have mastered them for 40 plus years, and they know the perfect place to stand, the perfect pixel, and everything. And there's like some easy way to kill this thing every time he comes on screen, but not if you're a noob like me.
Right. You have to be some sort of expert.
You do
trained
get a ton
veteran,
of bonus
if you will.
points. Right. You get a ton of bonus points if you kill this thing. I don't know if it's actually robotic, but the sound it freaking makes sounds like a robot. And there's no plot to this game, right? Like there's no story. So they could just do whatever the heck they want. If they want a robotic pterodactyl come in to help out the vulture knights, like they can do that if they want.
I mean, you're jousting on the back of birds.
So the map will like change a little bit every level. Not every level, but every few levels. The map loses a platform here and there, or there's lava at the bottom of the stage that will become visible for you to get thrown into on accident, or like the lava actually will have a hand. They call it the lava troll, I think, It sticks its hand out from the freaking lava and will try to pull you down if you get too close, which is very interesting.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is one of the first early. This is like one of the earliest arcade games I ever played. I actually played it on the N64 via one of those Midway arcade collections. I don't even
Mm.
remember getting that game as a kid, but it just existed in my house.
Huh. I'm
Um,
sure the controls for that one were kind of wackadoodle.
yeah, I think I've gone back to play it in recent years, and I found out that that was a terrible version of the game.
Right?
um, Cousin and I will absolutely play this game cooperatively anytime we're at the arcade. We still play this game and beat each other's high scores. Big fans of Joust. Um, but the the arcade, I got my first arcade one up, my only arcade one up about 5 years ago, and I really wanted to have Joust at home. Like that was like my sole purpose for buying it. It came with Rampage and Gauntlet and Defender and Joust, and it was. I ended up waiting for a good price on it. You know, it came down like $100 or something, and I decided to pull the trigger. But I ended up selling that thing. That was like a really piece of garbage machine, a really trash way to play that game. So that sucked.
No.
Um, but yeah, that's Joust. I love me some Joust, and I'll give you guys a fun fact that I feel like a lot of people know, but Satoru Iwata programmed Joust for the Famicom. Did you know that, Hannah?
No. Wow.
And from the article I was reading, this may have been the first game he ever produced, which is pretty cool. But he actually later used what he learned to develop Balloon Fight. If you've ever played that on the NES, it's
Yep.
basically got some very similar flapping mechanics. You flap your hands, your arms to, uh, get higher on the screen. It's very similar to Joust flapping your wings of your bird. Um, but yeah, that's Joust. Love me some Joust, but not a top 10 game for sure.
Was Joust big over in Japan? I know they have big arcades and stuff was popular over there, but was like him programming it or whatever on the Famicom like their first Japan's first introduction to Joust? Do you know?
That is a very good question. I feel like Williams Electronics was probably an American company,
Definitely.
so yeah, um, that's interesting. I don't know.
I too loved me some Joust when I was younger. My best friend's brother had a Joust machine in his bedroom, and so when he was away going to like parties or concerts or whatever, we'd sneak into his room and we'd play it. I don't
Wow.
remember specifically if it was like a standalone Joust or if it was one of those like collections.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely old, obviously, because it still took quarters. I believe. Um, we had to put quarters in it every time we died, which took a lot of quarters. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We weren't very good at it, but we tried over and over and over and over for hours.
You know, there's a sequel.
No.
I've only played it a few times. I can't even like talk too much about it, but every once in a while you go to an arcade and you'll see Joust 2. And it's like, huh, you can tell that one didn't sell as well.
Wow. Is it the same concept?
Same concept. It's way more in depth from what I remember. I think the levels change. And I think the reason I wasn't a big fan of it is because I like exclusively play with my cousin, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I don't think you could play co-op in Joust 2. I think it was alternating.
Oh. Well, that's no fun. Bummer.
Yeah.
Did you have any honorable mentions for Jay?
No, Jay, I do not.
Ooh. Wow. Jay's not super big over there? I got lots of
Over here in
J's.
Texas.
Yeah. No, over there in your household.
What do you got for Jay? I'm very
So
eager to hear it.
I'm sure you could probably guess what it is. I'll say my honorable mentions first. So my first honorable mention, I talked about this way back when. I think this was like one of the first episodes we ever did. Was the games that we want ported over to the Switch. And I said Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius because that was one of the funnest games of all time that I've ever played. it's a computer game, or I played it on the computer, and it was like this super cool open world kind of thing where you're visiting all these places. You're following, which I realized later, the plot of like the Jimmy Neutron movie. So you go to like the same places, you meet the same enemies as a movie, blah 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 blah. And then I got the GameCube version of the game because it was cheaper for whatever reason than the computer ROM or disc was. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Let's just do that. And it was like not at all the same thing. It was not even all
Dang.
like a similar game. It was not open world. It was like level based. It didn't give you any instruction. I was like, what the hell is this? But the computer game's super awesome. I still want to play that at some point. The other honorable mention I have is, like I said, Joust. Jeopardy, which I know is stupid, but me and my friend love me some Jeopardy. And then James Bond 007 GoldenEye. So what the full name of that one? But my favorite game that I chose for Jay is James Bond 007 Nightfire. I know I've talked about this one a bunch, but it's awesome.
You know, Hannah, I'm pretty sure that's in the 0 section on my GameCube shelf.
No way.
No, I don't know. Some
Speaking
of
of,
them are in the J, some of them are not, but I'm not going to give you a hard time.
thank you. Speaking of, I forgot to mention this. I think we should have a numbers category after Z.
Oh, good call. Part 3 for sure.
Or like special character, whatever it is, one of those
Heck
things.
yeah.
Anyway, so the official title is James Bond 007 Nightfire. It came out on the GameCube, PS2, and the Xbox in November of 2002. It also came to the Game Boy Advance in March of 2003. Also Windows and Mac at the time. If you don't know anything about James Bond games, they're shooty spy, fun games, stealth games. It's a first-person shooter published by EA. Back when they were like super cool, did some like super cool things. The story is much like every other James Bond game. It involves James Bond as he must stop an industrialist plot to conquer the world, via a major defense satellite created by the U.S. This James Bond is modeled after the Pierce Brosnan one, but there's tons. Craig, what's his face? Oh my god, Daniel Craig is the other one in other games. I don't remember the other ones. Sean Connery, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. If you know James Bond, you know that he's had like several iterations over the years, and so this is just the Pierce Brosnan era, which is maybe why I like it so much, because he's also the one modeled after GoldenEye, which I played prior to this one, and that one's awesome. So I said it came out on Game Boy Advance, as well as consoles and all that, so the versions are actually very different. You can't have like a first-person shooter on a Game Boy Advance. That would be incredible. But it's not like anything you'd see on the GameCube, PS2, or Xbox. The different versions of the games had different developers as well. So obviously they just kind of passed it around to different people who specialized in doing it on consoles, doing it on Xbox, doing it on Game Boy Advance, which makes sense. The console version was developed by Eurocom. They're a British developer founded in 1988, defunct as of December 2012. They also worked on games like The Jungle Book, Earthworm Jim, Super Street Fighter II Turbo back in the 90s, and then, of course, other James Bond titles over the years. Also, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Batman Begins, and Spyro, A Hero's Tale, which I believe came out on the Wii.
I think that's a GameCube.
Could be. I didn't write it down.
That's okay.
The PC version was developed by Gearbox Software. If you're familiar with them, they have the Borderlands series, the Half-Life series, and Brothers in Arms developers. That's what they do. I believe they're still around. I'm pretty sure they're still around.
Yeah, Gearbox is pretty big.
Yeah. And the Game Boy Advance version was developed by JV Games. They made other games for the Game Boy Advance, Windows, WiiWare, and some Atari consoles. They developed the Tower series. I don't know if you know what that is. Across several platformers. Warhammer Battle for Altuma. For the PSP, etc. I believe they're still around too. As far as gameplay goes, it's not like the best, I'd say, in the James Bond series. It really shines when it comes to multiplayer, but I'll kind of go through that a little bit. So there's a bunch of different styles of play, which I think have been more developed over the years, especially with series like Hitman and all that kind of jazz. But like, you can play however you want to play. You can go in there super stealth and like not see anybody, not alert any people, any alarms, any of that. Or you can go in guns blazing and just shoot everybody. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want to do. But of course, there's like specific levels designed around like specific things that the game wants you to do. So one that stuck out to me was like there's a completely all sniper level where you're in like this massive industrial yard and there's these giant towers with snipers that are like pointed at you and you kind of have to like stealth around but also like be able to snipe them from like a far distance. So that's really fun, but you could also just go in and shoot and use all your bullets, whatever you want. But they're all kind of like designed around a specific thing. There's also like you're driving a snowmobile and you're shooting at people while driving the snowmobile, which is really cool. There's also, I think the opening level is where you're in a helicopter and you're manning the machine gun and you have to shoot cars that are racing on like a street. So it mixes up the gameplay a lot, like a spy would, any spy movie. Just you're playing those things, those scenarios. And then the last level takes place in space, so you can imagine how fun that one is. You're just floating outside in space.
I remember you talking about that a few episodes ago. That's awesome.
It's crazy, but it's those fantastical things that you see in the spy movies that you get to play through. And then you also, like in multiplayer, which I think, like I said, is where it shines, there's these different modes where you can pick like specific weaponry that you want to use. So you can do one game with like all sniper rifles. You can do one game with all just handguns. You can do one game with explosives and like mines. So like if you trigger the little trap or you walk through the little laser, it explodes. All those kind of fun things. And then also in multiplayer, it's like this giant, not open world, but it is ish. It's still like, it's an arena. Just assume it like an arena. And there's like different buildings, there's different hideouts, there's different like transportation methods to get from one end of the arena to the other. It's multi-layer, there's places to hide, there's places to snipe from, And it really kind of, I don't know, elevates the multiplayer instead of just like, if you remember in GoldenEye, it's like all flat. You're just kind of like on one thing. You can go inside buildings, but everything is flat. Whereas these arenas are multi-layer, if that makes sense.
You couldn't look up and down, right, in GoldenEye?
Yeah, you can, but like not really. You can kind of just like move your head just a little bit, and that's it. You can't like point up or aim up or do any of those things.
Right.
Like in this one, you can break your neck and look completely 90 degrees up, if you want to.
Is this game third person?
You can do third person or first person. You can change that.
Wow.
Setting. Yeah, it's really cool. Also, what's really cool with multiplayer is you can do like AI bots, and you can set them to like super hard difficulty, super easy, so they're really easy to shoot, really easy to get. You can give them like a lot of lives or a few lives if you want to like hunt them down. And if you put them on hard, and I think you can change their personality, but I don't remember. I was going to check, but I forgot. To be like super aggressive or like not really aggressive or like more stealth. And they'll kind of like play out that scenario. Like they're going to freaking gun you down or they're going to wait and hide for you to like slip around that corner and then shoot you. Which is really cool. And if you set them to like super hard difficulty, they're like actually difficult. They're not like super easy, just fodder to kill. So that's really fun. Let's see. The other thing you can do in multiplayer is, like I said, there's different levels, tons of different levels. A lot of them are based off of like scenes from the movies, not necessarily the movie that this one's based off of, but like the whole series in general.
Oh, that's cool.
So you get to visit like some of these locations, and some of the locations you don't even visit like during the campaign. They're just like specifically for multiplayer, which is fun. The other thing, there's like different games you can play within multiplayer. So there's like capture the flag, where you're like trying to guard this flag and get it from your base to the other base, or from their base to your base, and then you win. There's King of the Hill, where there's like a big giant glowing circle in the middle of the map, and you have to stay in that circle the longest, which is fun. There's Top Agent, which is every player gets 10 lives, and whoever survives obviously wins. Arena, which is what you normally do, which is a free-for-all. Everyone's just thrown into the arena. And then there's a thing called Uplink, where there's 3 satellites around the level, and you score points by claiming a satellite as your own, and stopping your opponents from claiming it as their own. And the longer you have the satellite occupied as yours, the more points you get.
I'm seeing a lot of like the games I play today, like where they got their roots.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
It was so much fun. Me and my brother and my cousin, we played this so many times. Like, I think, I don't know, I don't want to say we put 1,000 hours into it, but like that was always our go-to game. It was either GoldenEye, and if we didn't have the Nintendo 64, we had played it on the PS2. So much fun.
That's
Would
awesome. It
definitely.
sounds like a really good game.
I think we should play it together next time I'm up there. It's really fun.
Oh, heck yeah. It always trips me up when you say up there, but you are slightly south of me. I think.
Yes. I think so. Yeah, I definitely am. But
I
it's
would
like
definitely play it with you.
it's up and around the bend. But that's too long, so just up. Yeah.
I have like no James Bond experience. I've barely seen probably I think it's safe to say I've seen 0 movies and played 0 games.
I think you've said that before, and I even got you Golden Eye so that you could play it.
Yeah, I gotta play some GoldenEye. I think 2024 is the year I play some GoldenEye.
Okay, I like that. You got to play it Nintendo 64. It's classic. It's great. It's a little wonky the controls, but I played it and I loved it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a classic.
It's worth it. All right, let's talk K.
Okay.
We might share the same K. I don't know. I got Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Oh,
Nope.
dang it. I forgot to write the release dates for some of these. That's okay. Hannah's going to look up the release date while I keep talking.
Right.
Um, developed by HAL Labs and published by Nintendo. Oh, it was like March 2022, right? It was definitely like March something.
I think so.
Obviously, this was a Nintendo Switch exclusive 3D platformer, which we haven't seen for Kirby in quite some time. Um, just like any typical 2D Kirby game, you go from level to level in a linear fashion. Each level has you sucking in enemies, typical Kirby things. You're stealing their powers and using them to your advantage. Just in case you've never played a Kirby game, I just described all of them for you.
Right.
This time, it's just like that, but in 3 dimensions, and there are some awesome new abilities. I remember Twitter blew up for a week when Kirby was announced.
Yeah.
Kirby can literally suck in. So there's this mouthful mode, and you can suck up any sparkling object in some levels, and you can turn into a car, for example. Like, not turn into, but Kirby literally sucks up an entire car to where his mouth is covering, we'll say, the top half of a vehicle, and then you just start driving that vehicle around. It's crazy.
Yes.
Or you can suck up a traffic cone, for example, and it changes Kirby's shape so that he's like a pyramid shape and he's got a pointy head, and he can use that to destroy the ground beneath him. It is
You
incredible.
waddle around. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's several of these, and they are definitely the highlight of the game. Definitely like the gimmick of this Kirby. One of my favorites was the vending machine. I don't know if you remember. You literally get to shoot out cans of juice at your enemies.
Yes. It was awesome.
I love that crap. But yeah, as usual, there's different abilities that make the combat and the puzzle solving very interesting. There are lots of secrets and collectibles in each level. You get to save Waddle Dees, and you're actually rewarded for collecting, retrieving these little guys in each level, because when you get back to the overworld, there's like a reward for getting 60 Waddle Dees, and they'll open up a restaurant, and all of a sudden you're able to buy food so that you can take it to levels and heal yourself. So that's cool.
Yep.
You collect coins and stars in each level, and you can actually buy blueprints to upgrade your abilities. Very much enjoyed this very light RPG element. And then collectibles weren't always obvious in this game. It wasn't often that I 100%ed a level on the first try, which I really enjoyed because it gives me plenty of reason to go back and replay the game. And I'm also just not a big fan of the other Kirby on the Switch that was a freaking cakewalk.
Ugh. We don't talk about that one.
It's been years. I have not even thought about that game in a long time.
Oof.
The boss fights were solid. They weren't pushovers. I enjoyed that. The game was not like super hard, but it also wasn't a complete cakewalk. The unfortunate thing about this game is that much like Return to Dreamland on the Wii, co-op makes the second player use Bandana D, who just has a spear and can't suck in any enemies and take over their abilities. I hate that.
Boring.
That being said, I did play the entire game as single player.
Yep. Popping in here to say that you were right. The release date was March 25th, 2022.
Yeah, we did a giveaway that month.
We did do that. Yes. I remember.
um yeah, I love this game because it's literally the Mario 3D World of Kirby. I probably said that last March. And I 100% mean it, or 2 Marches ago. You said 2022?
Yep.
Jeez, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
Almost 2 years.
Everyone knows 3D World, possibly my favorite game of all time. This is literally taking the awesome 2D Kirby formula and putting it into 3D, just like 3D World. It's still run to the end of the stage and get to the flagpole or whatever, and it's got the collectibles, and it's just very fun. There's challenges to complete between levels if you so deem yourself to do them. There's just a lot to freaking do. It's a great game, and even after you roll the credits, there is more to do. I never went back and played, but I definitely could, especially since it's been 2 years. My gosh.
2 years.
Did you play after the credits at all?
I did for a little bit, and then it's basically just like, it's the same levels, but there's like something off or something different about them. But it did not make me want to go back and play it immediately.
Right, that's what I was about to say, immediately. I think that was my exact take on it as well. Couple of honorable mentions, or like one honorable and one dishonorable, I guess. Katamari Damacy. I freaking have talked about Katamari, and it is so fun. I've only played 2, but if I had to pick one as a runner-up, it would be Katamari Damacy Reroll, the remaster that came out a few years ago. That's a chef's kiss game right there. I love it.
Nice.
And a K game that I was not fond of that everybody else loves is Kingdom Hearts. I did not enjoy my time with Kingdom Hearts.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, it's hard to get into. And hard to like.
You've played Kingdom Hearts?
I tried it too.
Yeah, I played through the whole game. I was a trooper.
Wow. That is some dedication. Wow.
Anything to add on Kirby?
Yeah, so I liked that if you didn't want to go through like another level, there's like these fun little mini games that you can play like in your little village. And if I'm remembering correctly, all the Waddle Dees that you save, they also come back to your little village, and you can like talk to them and interact with them, I think.
Probably not all of them, but yeah.
Some of them. And then, let's see. I think that's it. It's very fun. I don't really typically like the 2D Nintendo games. I think I've made that very clear. And you said 3D World or whatever it is. Like, I hate that game. But this is like that, but in like the best way. And like not Mario, but like Kirby. If that makes sense.
Yep. Very similar.
And then the Katamari game, isn't there another one that came out on Switch?
Yeah, I think it was last year. It is called We Love Katamari, I think.
Ooh, so that would be W. Interesting. That's
I haven't
confusing.
played that one yet.
You want to take a guess at what my K is?
Pretty blank right now. I don't have any in my head.
It's Kirby Air Ride.
Oh, shoot. Good choice.
Thank you. I've talked about this game a lot, so I won't go super into it, but it's classified as a Kirby racing game. It's the only Kirby racing game, I believe, that's actually got like its standalone release. Came out in 2003 on the GameCube, developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo. It was one of Sakurai's last games, as he was employed or contracted by HAL Laboratory before he created Sora Ltd, which is his new company that does like Smash Bros and all that kind of fun stuff. There are 3 modes in this game. I believe we only played City Trial, but there's also 2 more. So there's Air Ride, which is like the traditional racing game, which obviously the game is like named after. Like this is the big mode, and all the other ones are just like fun little mini games. There's Top Ride, which is a more tabletop racing game. You're kind of like not looking down. Well, you're looking down at like a tabletop racing. Exactly what I just said. So it's not giant scale. You're not moving through tracks. You just kind of, I don't know. Like if you had a Hot Wheels car in your hand and you were just like running it over a desk, it's like that. Versus like racing your car downtown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like the Hot Wheels games.
Yeah. And there's also City Trial, which is my favorite thing. And we played this over and over and over and over again, me and my best friend. It's essentially where you kind of race around like a city. There's like buildings, there's like a volcano randomly in there, there's a forest, there's a tower, all this kind of fun stuff. You're just kind of racing around there on your little cart, and you're collecting like these little upgrades. So every Kirby, like the whole thing is like based around racing. So you're on like this cart. It's like the star cart that's on the cover art. And so you're kind of racing around on said cart, trying to upgrade it as best you can by getting these little collectibles. There's like a top speed, which if you get it, it increases your top speed. There's turns, which help you turn faster. There's glides, which are like a little pair of wings that helps you fly, or like just pick up speed in the air, so you can just bam, lift off if you want to. And then after said city trial, there's also like these mini games at the end. So I can't remember all of them, and I didn't write them down, but there's like a gliding one where it's like the more glides you get, the more you have a better advantage to. You're trying to, there's like a giant scoreboard and everyone goes off the ramp at the same time, and you try to land on the bigger numbers. So there's like 100, there's 50, there's 20, there's 5, there's 10, and you obviously want to get 100 because it just gives you a better score. There's also one where it's called Melee, I think, and you're basically just kind of in like a kind of like a horse corral kind of thing, like the circle, and you're kind of just going around and around and around and trying to kill as many enemies as you can. The more you kill, the more points you get. Stuff like that. It's not super intense. It's not like a Mario Kart. It's not like an F-Zero. None of those racing games are going to be like super intense like that. And also during City Trial, you get like these random events. So it's like, for whatever reason, there's asteroids falling to the city, and then everything's going to be on fire, and you have to like avoid those burning giant balls of flame, or it'll hurt you, and then you could die and then fall off your cart and have to go get another one. There's also different carts in City Trial. So there's like Swerve Star, which is like a triangle-esque thing, and it's not super good at gliding, but it's really fast, and it goes really, really quick. Like acceleration is fast, as long as it's top speed being fast. There's like a giant ice cream truck, which is just clunky and awful. There's one that's like bird wings, which is better for gliding, but not so much for turning. And so all of these carts kind of fall into City Trial, and you can hop off your cart and hop on that cart. So it's just another little fun thing that they did. Let's see. Oh, also the big thing with doing all of these 3 different modes is there's a giant, I don't know if it's 10 by 10 or 12 by 12, but it's like a giant matrix, and each of the little squares in said matrix is like a thing that you can do. So it's like, eat 3 hot dogs doing City Trial, and then you unlock whatever that is. And so the goal is obviously to complete all of the objectives and get one like clear checklist or check matrix, what do you want to say. It's very fun. It's how you unlock different colors of Kirby's, how you unlock like different sounds, soundtracks, all that fun stuff.
My roommate and I like definitely bond over the GameCube era. Like we have played a lot of GameCube games. Last night we were literally playing Double Dash for who knows how many times we've played through that game. And he grew up with freaking Kirby Air Ride. I think we need to give that game a go and play through that one, because I didn't hate my time with it when you came over. I could see myself completing that board that you were just talking about.
It is very, very, very fun. Me and my friend, we like City Trial obviously the best because, I don't know, it's the most fun. It kind of changes with every round, so it makes it super addicting. But we've completed, I think, like 4 complete checklists on 4 different memory cards. That's how much we like it.
Heck yeah.
And it's a lot of hours. So I do have some fun facts. So originally this game was going to be a Nintendo 64 game, but was later canceled. But then obviously it was picked up, back up again, and then revised for the GameCube's hardware. And that's how we got it. In early development, the game was known as Kirby's Air Land.
I like Air Ride.
Yeah, me too. It was the first game to support LAN play using broadband adapters. So if you're into that, that's cool. Also, some of the songs from the game are from the Japanese version of the Kirby anime called Kirby Right Back At Ya. The game was
Wow.
advertised at the end of some of the episodes. There was also a
Ooh.
2-part special featuring vehicles from the game aired alongside the game's launch. Also, so the release of this game in North America was highly tied to like this cartoon or anime, whatever you want to say. For whatever reason, I guess they probably made the anime to promote the game specifically, but I couldn't find anything specific on that. Couldn't find any specific information, but they're very like they coincide. A lot of the stuff kind of share things. There was also a special video strategy guide for the game that was exclusive to the DVD release of the anime in an episode called Kirby's Excellent Adventure.
The classic egg pun that we all know and love.
Yes, yes, love it.
We
As
got
far
that
as
over
regional,
here. We got that
yeah,
anime.
yeah. I wonder if it aired on like what was it called?
It was
Two
on Four
Network.
Kids.
4Kids. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure it probably did. And then let's see. There are a bunch of regional differences, like something that's stupid but interesting is like the mile per hour little thing icon telling you how fast you are is obviously miles per hour in the US, but of course over in other countries it's kilometers per hour, which is just something fun. And some of the names for things are different in other languages, kind of how they translated. But this is something weird, and I don't know why. But all of the versions of like the carts are the same across all the different versions, but for whatever reason, the vehicles are lighter in the Japanese version, which makes them faster to race with, and only
Oh,
the
wow.
Japanese version.
No one else could handle that.
No, so I thought that was very interesting. So just imagine it, but a lot faster. But
You know,
yeah,
you're
I
gonna have
love.
to get the. You're gonna have to try the Japanese one if you're a real fan.
Well, you know what? I looked for it in the book off, and it wasn't there. But I do have a modded Wii, or no, not a modded Wii. Geez, a modded GameCube that can play Japanese games.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know that.
yep, that would be a lot of fun. It's got like whatever chip it needs in there or something, so it can play both. I don't know. Somebody made it for me, sent it to me. It was awesome. But yeah, I love Kirby Air Ride. If you like racing games and also like just fun, relaxing, kind of strolling around the city on carts, then I would definitely recommend it. It really doesn't have anything to do with Kirby. Honestly, it could have been any character, but I think Kirby just is so cute and so fun and so like pliable as a character that it works.
In North America, we have Angry Kirby, Air Ride Kirby, and in Japan, he's smiling on the cover.
Right. He seems more angry in the game though. Like he's so light and not fluffy, but like fun and lighthearted in his games. But I feel like this one he's kind of like a badass, you know? He's a hardened criminal. So,
Yep.
also on my list for K, I have Kirby Crystal Shards. That one's great. First Kirby platformer I think I ever played. Played that on the Wii collection, the Kirby collection on the Wii. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh,
So
the
that was
Dream
cool.
Collection.
Yeah, that's it. Also Kirby the Forgotten Lands, like you said. Kiwi, which I think I've talked about. It's the you're working in a post office as like the little kiwi birds, and you have to like send messages, decode messages. It's a very fun co-op game, which I definitely recommend. It was $7 on the Switch physical, and I was like, yep, definitely getting that.
Dang.
And then the last one is Kururin, which is I think you told me about it.
Yeah, you played it on the Switch.
Yeah, so it came out on the Switch Online, and I was like, yeah, that looks fun, and I remember you talking about it. It's basically like you're controlling a rod, essentially, kind of like a baton, and it's constantly spinning one direction or the other, and you kind of have to like fit that rod through a maze as it's kind of spinning and not touch the edges. And there's things in it so you can switch the direction, whatever, so you can get through like different passages. But it is incredibly difficult. Like you have to have super good hand-eye coordination,
Did you beat it?
and it's a lot of fun. I did beat it, but I beat it on. There's two different modes. I don't know if it's easy and normal or if it's like normal and hard, but I beat it on normal, which is like, or whatever the easiest one is. It's a shorter rod, so you can kind of
Yeah.
fit in the tighter spaces a little easier.
I was
But
just
no, I
talking
have not beaten
to
it.
I was just talking to Craig about that game. It's I'm pretty sure it's the top-down view of a helicopter is what that rod is.
Huh. But where's the helicopter?
Like, it's just like a really tiny body of the helicopter underneath a giant propeller.
Huh.
I'm
Oh
pretty sure
shit.
that's what it is.
That's interesting. Huh.
The more you
Yeah.
know, Hannah.
I can see that. You're also saving cute little birds, and I thought that was fun. And you can customize your rod. As you would.
I want to play that.
It's fun. On Nintendo Switch Online. It's awesome. But yep, that's all I got for K.
I also really am in the mood for some Kirby Air right now, not even going to lie.
It's awesome. It's great. Everyone go play.
Last year in May, on the 12th of May 2023, we got The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get an entire episode on this game, so I won't linger on it too long, but that is my choice for the letter L. Fantastic game. Everyone's played it by now. Straight up, this is what I want from Zelda games now. I know a lot of people complain about the dungeons not being what they used to be, and I'm not personally one of those people. I think those games are great, but if I had to pick between the two, I would rather have this style that we've seen for the last two games. Um, I don't know. It's weird that like for someone like me who's not really into the open world stuff, this game makes me want to explore the entire world. If you're bored exploring the sky in this game, you go to the land. If you're bored there, you go explore underground. There's just so much to do. It's so easy to get lost. You set out to do one thing, you end up getting distracted, and 2 hours later, you don't remember what you initially set out to do.
Right.
Boss fights were epic as usual. The build ability was really freaking cool in this game. Um, I still never got auto build. Did you? I guess I haven't played it a whole lot since our episode last June, but I never got auto build. I played 100 hours without it.
Wow. I never used it. I had it, but I didn't use it. Ever.
Oh wow. Yeah, this has been mentioned a lot on the internet, but they really did a great job of expanding upon the Hyrule that we had already explored in the previous game, which
Yep.
was awesome. In my notes, I wrote "Breathing of the Wild." Very nice.
Nice.
The game was definitely worth the wait, and I think that's all I have to say about it. Some honorable mentions, though, or unless you want to make some comments about one of your favorite games of all time.
See, I tied my Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with my Legend of Zelda Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I think I said on the last one that Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite, but I don't know if I can really make that distinction anymore because Breath of the Wild was just so mind-blowing for the time, and while Tears of
Yeah.
the Kingdom I think improved on that a lot, it didn't give me that same feeling that Breath of the Wild did, but it really is the ultimate Breath of the Wild, so I'm really stuck. I don't know which one's better. But yes, they're both tied in for me for L.
Well, I will let you talk about it after I get through these honorable mentions then. But this is our favorites. It is not the best, so keep that in mind.
Right.
Um, Honorable mentions, another Switch game, freaking Luigi's Mansion 3. That was a great game from freaking 5 years ago now.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy. Really, that's definitely my favorite of the Luigi's Mansion games. Yeah, great game. I've talked about it before. And several other Zelda titles. I really like two of my favorites for sure are Twilight Princess and A Link to the Past. I need to replay Ocarina because it's been like 15 or 20 years. It has been a
Wow.
very long time, and everyone talks, for years now, people have talked about it being the greatest game of all time. I need to play it as an adult, honestly. But yeah, I loved Twilight Princess. I was old enough to play that one twice and remember it, and I played A Link to the Past a few years ago. That's probably my favorite 2D Zelda that I've played so far.
Very nice. I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Right. And then a big L title that I've actually never played is The Last of Us. Thought
Oh,
I'd mention that.
wow. That's one I totally forgot about. I haven't played it, so it wouldn't matter. But it definitely should have been on the honorable mentions.
All right,
As
go
far as I
ahead.
said, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, definitely tied for me. Like I said earlier, I don't know which one I like more, because I'm so fond of the experience that Breath of the Wild gave me, like that first time after coming from such a linear Skyward Sword. Uh, it was just so incredible to see that. But then Tears of the Kingdom, it literally builds on all that stuff. The story is a little better, more. Well, I don't want to say it's more devastating. It's not, but it's just more like invested. I got more invested in the second one. I don't know. It's hard to say. Also, Skyward Sword, great, love that one. Minish Cap, that's my favorite 2D Zelda game, love that one. All the Zelda games are on here. Just imagine all of them except for Wind Waker. That one didn't make the list. It will never
Zelda
make the
2
cut.
makes the list, but Wind Waker doesn't. You've heard it here first.
That's exactly right. Wind Waker sucks. I hate it. It's the worst game. I've tried it like 4 times. I really did. I tried my hardest and I just can't get into it. I really just hate it. Um,
Um, oh, go ahead.
the other L that I have, I don't know if this was like such a phenomenon where you were, but Line Rider. Do you remember that game?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, so basically it's a computer game that also got like console ports and like console remakes and blah 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 at some point. But you just go to linewriter.com and then you can kind of create this entire giant world that you want. You're basically just drawing lines, right? And there's this little guy like on a sled and you make all these courses kind of like how Mario Maker is. You can play predetermined courses or you can play ones that other people have made, and basically you just kind of draw lines. You can do There's lines where you could like ride on, and then there's lines that you can see but the guy doesn't ride on, so you can draw like these elaborate backgrounds or whatever. And you can create whatever you want. So there was a summer, must have been, I don't know, like 10 maybe, 9 or 10, and maybe I was a little bit older. Anyway, I sat down and played this for like a whole summer and created who God knows what. Just all these different things. You could save all of these levels and whatnot. It was just so fun. It was just the fact that you could do whatever you wanted, and that was like the first game where I had experienced that, where I can create my own courses.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it definitely looks familiar. I've either played this or something similar.
It's awesome.
It was
I don't
on
know.
freaking DS, which is the perfect idea right there.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it looked like or what the UI was or if there was like a story, but you could literally just go on the internet and create a whole world for yourself.
Our whole generation is going to have so many memories of playing such stupid freaking online games at school like that.
Dude, you don't even know. But yeah, that's all I got for L. I also said Luigi's Mansion and Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, which I mentioned in last episode.
I
I think
think
I
so.
talked about that was last episode where I talked about the timeline. Go check it out. But yeah, L's is a big one.
Nice. I feel like I had something else to say, but maybe not. Oh, I was going to say that, like, once again, I haven't played Breath of the Wild in 6, 7 years, and I should definitely give that game another go. Which one has the better abilities, in your opinion?
Oh, well, the building mechanic is just so something that we haven't seen in Zelda at all. It's just, it takes like the other abilities and like combines them into one. So I
Yeah.
really like that one, but then at the same time, the other ones are much more simple, and I feel like you could still do a whole lot of stuff with it without getting super complicated, like Minecrafty, making your own things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just, it really, I go back and forth. I can't, I can't pick one.
Thank God you don't have to.
Yes.
For M, I am going with Marvel Spider Man. I don't want to hear about it starting with an S. It is Marvel Spider Man. Um,
We'll let it slide.
this game released in September 7th, 2018, developed by Insomniac, published by Sony Interactive. 2018 was a big year, especially towards the holidays. I just distinctly remember the Game Awards being stacked that year, and I wasn't sure who was
Mm-hmm.
going to win. It was freaking Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption and something else. I don't remember, but it was three huge games that year. Um, I obviously am a huge Spider-Man fan, but I guess let me explain the game if anyone hasn't played it. Most people have played this game. Oh, sorry, Hannah. I know you haven't played this game. You know what it's
Jeez.
about, though. It's it's an open world Spider-Man game with incredible mechanics that really make you feel like you're swinging through New York City as Peter himself. You have your story missions that you're, you know, tracking down enemies, investigating leads, fighting some iconic Spider-Man supervillains, and when you're not in story missions, you're swinging around town completing this massive map full of collectibles. There's sights to see and take pictures of. You fight crime that's happening in real time, and so many other side quests. The map hits me at least, with like the right level of dopamine that shows you exactly how many of each side quest you have to complete in each zone of the city, and it checks each one off as you go, and it is great. Combat is great, takes a little time to master, and you definitely feel like you've earned it when you get good at it. As a big Spider-Man fan, this game scratches like every itch I've ever had for a Spider-Man game, and I know that Spider-Man 2 would probably make this list if I had a PS5 to play it on, but alas. Um, Insomniac took like what the Arkham games had already done and expanded upon them immensely. It's a AAA title and a Game of the Year contender, which means you have incredible cinematic story with incredible voice acting and beautiful graphics. It is. A few months ago, I actually was jealous of all the Spider-Man 2 people, and I went and 100%ed my original playthrough of the game, and it was my first
Wow.
ever platinum trophy, so that was cool.
Wow.
Fun fact, in the first 3 days of this game's launch, it made an estimated $200 million, which is more than the opening weekend of Spider-Man Homecoming, which was $117 million.
Huh. Hold on. Wow. Well, okay. Hold on. Hold on. Let me process that. Wow. That's ridiculous. Spider-Man is like the Marvel hero that everyone likes to watch. Everyone like, who's your favorite superhero? Oh, it's Spider-Man. It's like, oh, right. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that just goes to show like how much the video game industry has really just boomed, and people are spending millions of dollars to make these games, and it shows.
Yeah.
It launched and it became the fastest selling Sony published game of all time. So that was nice. Um Honorable mentions. I obviously love Metroid, but I had to pick Marvel Spider-Man. My favorite Metroid starts with an S, so that sucks. Um,
Ooh.
but I would say just behind Marvel Spider-Man is maybe Metroid Dread from a couple years ago, and maybe Metroid Fusion from the GBA. Um, yeah, to tell you the truth, I would take Super Metroid over Spider-Man, but that game starts with an S, and I don't think it will make my list in part 3 of this series because S is freaking stacked.
I was just about to say, we're going to see a real battle between Super Metroid and Super Castlevania, right?
And maybe even Super Mario 3D World, I don't know.
Ooh. That's awesome.
Um, yeah, other honorable mentions like I don't know, a dozen Mario games. I wrote down Mario Party 3 and Mario Kart Double Dash because nostalgia. I freaking love those games.
Nobody blames you.
And a couple of M games I've never played that are huge, Mass Effect and Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh. Also good ones.
That's what I'm told.
I wouldn't know anything about it, but yeah, I've taken people's word for it.
You ever have any interest in Marvel Spider-Man?
Yeah, dog, of course. What are you talking about? But I, alas, don't have a PS4, or alas, have a PS5. So no Spider-Man for me. Maybe one day, but I'm just having too much fun over here with the Switch.
And that's all that matters.
Yep.
What do you have?
So obviously my choice for M was Metroid Remastered. I'm just kidding. I hate that game. It is Mario Kart 64.
Nice.
I picked this one above Mario Kart 8 because I obviously am immensely nostalgic towards it. I put so many hours into it as a kid. I have like 8 different copies of it in my Nintendo 64 collection. It's one that people can pick up, they can play. It's easy to play but hard to master. Again, like everyone knows Mario Kart 64, so I'm not going to bore you with all like the details. You don't know about it? It's Mario Kart.
I've never played it. I know about it. I've never played it.
Dude, it's like the greatest. Okay, anyway, I'll go into it. It's the second entry into the Mario Kart series, first of which to be 3D, released in North America on February 10th, 1997. It was apparently supposed to be a launch title for the Nintendo 64, but the team was told to work more on Super Mario 64 instead, so the date was moved back a little bit. Probably a good move, considering how great Super Mario 64 is, but who knows? The game was developed under the name Super Mario Kart R, the R standing for rendered. Oh. So that's a fun little fact. Also, halfway into the game's production, the developers suffered a hard disk crash, causing the original character models to be completely lost. All of about like 20% they were able to kind of recover, but they had to recreate 80% of the models, but in the process decided to update the character selection screen to have animated character models instead of just like the still images, which was not the original plan. So, happened for the best, I would say. Some other fun facts. In Luigi's Raceway, the opening of the game shows the Luigi big hot air balloon. I don't know if you ever see it. And attached to said hot air balloon, like the little basket underneath, is the little item box. And apparently, this was news to me, I didn't know this, but apparently it's obviously a box that you can obtain with a well-timed jump and, being like a veteran of the game. But it always contains the blue spiny shell. Always. That's always what you'll get from it.
Interesting.
I didn't know that. Also, the fake item boxes I don't know if that originated in this one. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But they act a little bit differently versus the other entries in the series. So these fake item boxes can be planted mid-air, which really, really messes with players if you place it perfectly in Wario Stadium and Royal Raceway. Like if you're going off of a ramp and you hit it, you'll just fall back down and it'll set you so far back. So they're great. They just kind of float there. Whereas other Mario Kart titles like just kind of fall to the ground or disappear in general. But yeah, super cool. The other thing is billboards in the Japanese version of the game were all parodies of existing companies. For example, Koopa Air was a yellow logo against a blue background, which was supposed to kind of like parody the Goodyear, which is like the tire car company logo. But of course that was changed in the localized versions because they didn't want them lawsuits.
That's lame.
But it stayed in the Japanese version, which I think is fun. Also, another thing is Kamek was originally going to appear, or Magic Koopa, I guess she's also called, in the game originally, but was replaced by Donkey Kong. But I think Kamek does appear in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe if you have the DLC pack. I think she's a driver.
I think Kamek is the person and Magic Koopa is the race. Like, there's a whole bunch of Magic Koopas. Oh. Correct us in the comments if we're wrong.
That makes sense. I've seen her referred to as both, but I guess that makes sense. But yeah, her name is Kamek, or Kamek. How did you say it?
I think I've always said Kamek, which could be right or wrong.
I've always said Kamek. I'm probably wrong. Also, there's another cool thing. There's a secret, which I didn't know until looking this up. There's a secret time-warping power hidden in the Kalimari Desert. That's one with, obviously it's a desert, and then the train is kind of circling around the track. Apparently, if you head left into the train tunnel at the very first crossing when you're going around the track, Lakitu will yell at you and tell you to turn around. If you follow his instructions and turn around, but if you're also holding your star power, if you activate it in that moment, the game will recognize you as completing a lap successfully, and you will be one lap ahead of everyone else after you leave the tunnel.
Oh, wow.
Which seems just like a glitch, like an accidental glitch that people have discovered, because obviously these are really old games and they're super glitchy, you can't patch them, whatever. but it's mentioned apparently. I don't have the manual, so I cannot confirm this. But apparently, this phenomenon, I guess you could say, was created by the development team and is mentioned in the game's manual. So like, they did it on purpose.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Also, my experience with it, like I said, I played this growing up all the time. I like how brutal the game is. Like, to me, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, unless I'm playing with like really good players, I'm always gonna get like first place unless something tragic happens and I get like second, right? But
Yeah.
this one, I played it for the first time on Nintendo Switch online after having not played it for a very, very long time. It can be freaking brutal, even to someone who's played it so many hours. Like, there's, of course, all these different shells and stuff, and all these. Well, there's the blue shell, there's the red shell, and the green shell, obviously. But then there's also, like, when you're going, like, in a versus mode, so I was playing with 3 other people, it was 4 of us total. I totally forgot about it, but there's random chain chomps that kind of just peruse some of the courses, and then there's bombs. There's just bombs randomly in the area, and you just get blown out of hell. We were specifically playing Rainbow Road, and of course that one's just notoriously awful for this kind of thing, but you can get blown off the map completely and then have to start over and blah blah blah. But it's so incredibly tough. You get like hit with nuts in Donkey Kong's jungle if you go off the road. And it's so like, it's old and like glitchy, but like in a fun way, if that makes sense.
Sounds like I need to play some Mario Kart 64 ASAP.
I love it. Like, my friends, we were playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they're like, wow, this is so easy, this is so fun, like, everything. You know, you're riding on the walls, and you're riding on all these fun things, and all the power-ups are so fun, and I was like, ooh, girl, we should go back to where we started. And then they played that, and we're like, I don't like this one. I don't like this one at all, it's too hard. It's like, yep, that's what I grew up playing with.
I know for a fact that Double Dash doesn't hold up the way that it did like when I was a kid. Like now playing freaking 8, it's like honestly, if I'm being real with myself, Double Dash is not the better game, but it is like my personal favorite. I loved having 2 characters to pick and everything. It's obviously a lot of nostalgia in that game. Um I imagine 8 is like objectively the best game,
Yeah.
but I feel like I'm just not great at that game. I pretty much get second or third to anyone I play with. Anybody comes over, even my girlfriend can beat me. She doesn't even have Mario Kart. She'll like freaking beat me at this game, and I'm like, what the heck? I play with coworkers at work, and I get beat. But I just hate that if you're playing this game and if somebody gets out ahead, like I don't know, in lap 1 or 2, like you're never gonna see them again. It doesn't matter how many blue shells you throw. In Mario Kart 8, you are never gonna see these people again. Or maybe I
Yeah.
just suck. I don't know.
I think it definitely depends. There have definitely been those experiences where I'm first and everyone else is so far behind me it's not even funny. I can like go around in circles and lap them. Um, Not saying that I'm great, but maybe my friends aren't the best. um, but yeah, Mario Kart 64 is not that way. Like, even like I said, as many times as I've played, I'll still get last place. If there's just those coincidences that happen, like, oh, I get hit with a blue shell. Oh, I ran into a bomb. Oh, I got freaking pegged by a bat. Or like, I ran into a penguin. I slipped and fell in the ice. It's like, you have to be so good at it to be like, always get first place all the time.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Also, multiplayer is just a hell of a good time. It's literally just like, if it's, imagine the rage of Mario Party, right? But like into these battles that you go through. So you have balloons on top of each other, and it's like sometimes not 100% fair. Like, if you get off on the wrong foot, like you'll spin out and lose a balloon. It's like, come on, really now? We really had to do that? Or sometimes you'll like fall or like glitch out and hit somebody, and then you lose a balloon. And you're like, why did I lose that? But it's like, it's all just so fun to antagonize people. So good. My honorable mentions would be Moving Out, which is the Team 17 game that I love so much. I was recently gifted Moving Out 2.
Hey.
We'll talk about that later. Also, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, because being able to hit people up onto the next level floor as a child was just so mind-blowing. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Any of the Mario parties, you take your pick, except for the weird one when you're all in like the same cart on the Wii U. That one was dumb. Um, Mario and Sonic Go to the Olympic Games. That was like, I think one of the first games that I owned on the Wii that I got when I was younger. It was super fun playing around with Mario and Sonic and all these fun different Olympic games. I love the Olympics. I think they're so freaking cool. And then also
Interesting.
a personal favorite of mine, but I think I'd probably get roasted if I did it. Madden 07. That was me and my brother and my cousin's favorite, one of our favorite games growing up. We played it on the PS2 a lot. I was super good at it. I just freaking spammed the pass button and usually always won. I played the Green Bay Packers, despite not really liking professional football at all. But that one's fun. Love that one. I believe Brett Favre was the quarterback for Green Bay at that point. Loved it. It was awesome.
Bro, we roast Madden as like the annual game and as like the dirt cheap collector's game, but like, everybody played some Madden. Madden was great.
It was a super enjoyable time, despite the fact that I don't know. I don't know anything about professional football. But I used to make them so mad when I'd smash the pass button and always freaking complete it every time running it for a touchdown. It's just awesome. Fond memories.
Any more?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, my two comments. What console is Mortal Kombat Trilogy on? I have no idea.
I believe it's on Nintendo 64. I think that's what it's called. I know there's a Mortal Kombat on Nintendo 64.
No, I'm not calling you wrong. You're probably right. I don't know much about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's one we used to play as a kid too. That was like, I don't know if it was rated M, but it was definitely not for like 5, 6, 7 years old. But like when you ripped the spine out of people or like made them bleed, it was just like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And my other comment was, I didn't know you played Mario Party 10. You're not a fan?
No,
I
not at
know
all.
that nobody likes that game. I have never played it.
I played it. When did I play it? I just remember it being awful because you're all in like the same. You like move together, and it's like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. It was stupid.
I want that amiibo bundle for the collection.
Mm. I too want that amiibo bundle. That's the only one I don't have.
Anyways, we're gonna take ourselves into the letter N here. Hannah's gonna love this one. New Super Mario Brothers U.
No.
So much Nintendo in this episode. A bunch of Nintendo lovers out here.
Holy smokes. Who would have
This
thought?
was a launch title for the Wii U on November 18th of 2012. Developed by Nintendo EAD, published by obviously Nintendo. It later came to the Switch, and yeah, it's a 2D platformer. It's your typical 2D Mario platformer, actually. If you've played any of them between 2009 and 2012 at this point, I thought it was more years than that. Anyways, if you played the DS one, oh, that's why it's more years. It's like '05 or '04 for the DS one. But if you've played any
Whoa.
game of the new Super Mario series, you know what this game is like. Um, Single player or up to 4 player co-op. You run left to right to get to the end of the stage. Specifically, this game, I feel like they've like really perfected the formula of the two prior games. I loved the DS title. I loved the Wii game. But the best part of New Super Mario U is that it finally they finally got the difficulty right. It was difficult enough to be interesting to an experienced player and like easy enough to still play with a little kid. Um, I think that's important for a Mario title. You've got a huge fan base that spans decades of age, you know. um,
Right.
Finding the 3 coins in each level was a challenge. It wasn't a cakewalk. Only new power up I believe in this game was the acorn, which was like basically the Tanuki suit from Mario 3. That was a little bit of a letdown, but I guess if you like just look at this game by itself, um, it's got a good amount of power ups, even if that's the only new one. Music
Right.
was unfortunately the same as the other two, but like I just said, if you look at this game by itself, the music is still great. even if it is just the same as the previous games. Um, what else? I remember the DS one coming out in whatever year it was, '04, and I had been wanting a 2D Mario game for years. And like I didn't have Sunshine, didn't want Sunshine. I had
Nobody
Mario
wants sunshine.
64, right? But like since from Mario World on, they just did the GBA ports. I didn't own any of those. Um, and this was like 2004ish. Whenever the DS1 came out, was like finally they did a 2D Mario game. I haven't played it in over a decade, but I remember loving the heck out of that game. So I'm a big fan of all the new Super Mario games. I loved the Wii sequel. Got that when it came out around Christmas time, and played that one to 100% completion. But yeah, I really thought this one was the best of the three, and it also utilized the gamepad, which I can always appreciate in a game because a lot of games only, I don't know, doubled. They mirrored the screen in your hand in case you wanted to turn the TV off. It's super lame. Um, this game, I didn't utilize the gamepad, but you could if you were like playing with little kids or whatever, because it lets you create platforms like essentially wherever you want, which is like an easy mode almost. But at least they utilize the gamepad.
And not many
Um,
do.
right. Too many games did not use it. I probably didn't play this till like 2015, maybe 2016. I was a I was a late Wii U adopter. And then they
Right.
followed it up with New Super Luigi U, which was another incredible game, very hard game. Um, but yeah, overall, if you're like one of these people who played the DS game and then played the Wii game, and you're like, man, I'm really burned out by the new Super Mario series, I wish they would change it up. Well, it's been 12 years now, so maybe go pick it up on Wii U or Switch and give it a shot. Um, Probably doesn't hold up well against Mario Wonder. I don't know. Mario Wonder has some things that this game doesn't, and I could say the same thing vice versa. I think they are both very solid ways to play Mario in their own rights.
Right. Definitely. I would say you're lucky that there's a new in front of the name. Otherwise, it would be competing with S.
This game would not stand a chance with my S titles, but I do like this game quite a bit.
Very nice. I too enjoyed the new Super Mario Bros. Series. I did not play 2D Mario growing up. That's probably why I don't like it very much. But when I used to play it with my friends on the Wii, that was a good time. Like I used to be that dork who had like a specific Wii, like it's not like a backpack, but it's like a satchel, so one that goes over the shoulder. I found it at like Goodwill, and I
Oh
used to
my
pack
gosh.
my Wii up specifically, all the sensor, the Wii remotes, all that kind of jazz, in this satchel and carry it around with me.
It said
So
Wii on it.
yes,
Dude, I had that. Someone gifted that to me when I was a kid.
that was me. I was using me was using that.
That's incredible.
You think who would go outside wearing this? Me. I did. But yeah, it was a precursor to what I do with the Switch now. I carry the Switch with me everywhere. It's like I have so many different carrying cases. It's with me all the time. But playing that co-op is probably the only way that I enjoy 2D Mario because like I don't know, it's just fun messing around with your friends and you don't have to be really good at the game to kind of understand the concept. It's pretty self-explanatory, but like just bouncing around in the levels with four people, it is like beautiful chaos.
It's a great party game for sure.
Super fun. All right, my turn.
Yes, it is. I have
Do you want
no. I have no honorable mentions. What were you gonna say?
to Oh, I was going to say you want to take a stab at which one I did.
Is it obvious? I don't know, Hannah.
Come on. Just a guess.
You
Just one
haven't
guess.
played the Nier games, right? Or have you played Nier on
I
PS3 or
have. That's
something?
that's an honorable mention.
Hmm. All right, that was my one guess.
It's Nintendo Land.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I love this game. So if you don't know, it came out in November of 2012, produced by the same man who created Animal Crossing. So how bad could it be? It's a party game developed and published by Nintendo as a pack-in launch title, um, which is like, why don't we have fun little pack-in launch titles anymore? I don't know. But mine
Yep.
came packed in with my Wii along with Mario Kart 8,
Wii U.
and that's what I meant, Wii U, packed alongside Mario Kart 8. And I probably played this game more than I played Mario Kart 8 when I got it. That's how fun it was.
Mm.
I don't know if that's shameful to admit, but I did. There's only so much Mario Kart you can play by yourself. You know?
That's true.
So the layout of the game is basically just imagine like a giant, not a giant theme park, but like a theme park. And so each of the little games, like the mini games, is kind of like a ride. Just picture that in your head. Um, there are a ton of different mini games based on popular Nintendo franchises like Pikmin, Metroid, Zelda, Mario, Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, um, also the mysterious Murasame Castle, which is interesting. Did not realize that was one.
Oh
Donkey
wow.
Kong, Captain Falcon, Balloon Fight, Yoshi, and Game and Watch. So just imagine having all of these fun little mini games that you can experience in this fun little amusement park. And after in every little mini game, you get like coins, and then you can use said coins in a pachinko machine, which is like, it's kind of like a vertical pinball machine. It's where you put the coin in or like a something in the top, and then it hits all like the little pegs as it goes down, ding 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 ding, and you it lands in like the little slots at the bottom. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I didn't know that that's what that was, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So you have to illuminate the little slots. You have to get a ball or a coin in each of the little slots to advance to the next level, and then you can unlock like different fun things that you can customize your little amusement park with. So the interesting thing about all of the mini games is essentially it's more like a tech demo of like the Wii U gamepad, very similar to how Wii Sports was for the Wii and how 1-2 Switch was for the Switch. It kind of just
Mm-hmm.
shows off all the things that the gamepad can do, which is why it was a pack-in title, because it was just a low budget thing. They want to be like, hey, this is what you can do with it. So some of the best games I played were Legend of Zelda Battle Quest. It's up to 3 players. The 3 players use Wii remotes, which that's a gripe I have with the Wii U, that not everyone got a gamepad, just the one person, but alas.
Yeah.
So the Wii remotes were used as like swords, so you can kind of like swing around and all that fun stuff, and you kind of kill hordes and hordes of enemies as you're kind of progressing through the level. But the person with the Wii U gamepad has a bow and arrow, so that's fun. You know, you use it, you aim it to shoot bows and arrows, very much like how Breath of the Wild is now, except for you can see like the little target, like the little projection spot where it's going to land on the enemy, all that kind of stuff, and it's gyro aiming. So that was cool. That would later go on to be in Breath of the Wild and all those other kind of shooting games.
It truly
The
was the
other
Link's
one,
crossbow training sequel we had all been begging for.
yes, exactly. And you're not even like Legend of Zelda characters. You're just the Mii's. Just imagine your giant round face doing whatever you want. The other one that was really fun was Pikmin Adventure. I think I've talked about this one a lot, but one player controls Captain Olimar, who commands tiny Pikmin using the Wii U gamepad, while the 4 other players control like the larger Pikmin using the Wii remotes. This is the one that me and my friend played for hours and hours and hours, because like the Pikmin just kind of like, you included, if your little character's on the little, your face is on the character of the Pikmin, you kind of just smash your head into things. I don't know why, but playing it like 2 o'clock in the morning was just absolutely hilarious. We played it for so long. It's just one of those things, you know? You had to be there for it to be funny, but just imagine your face smacking a bunch of things. It's hilarious. The other one is Mario Chase, which is basically just tag, set in an arena with obstacles and other fun things you're gonna have to avoid and go around. The other one was Donkey Kong's Crash Course. The player uses the gamepad gyroscope controls and the abilities to guide a trolley through an obstacle course. So imagine the classic Donkey Kong with the black background and the blue and pink like levels, the platforms to actually get up to Donkey Kong. Just imagine that, but they're all kind of like connected, and you have to navigate a trolley using the gyroscopes, being able to tilt the Wii U gamepad back and forth to kind of guide it along and avoid things. That one was fun. The other ones are like really simple, like a balloon trip breeze based on balloon fight. The player uses the gamepad to draw gusts of wind to move your Mii around and get balloons, very much like the game itself. But the gamepad is actually a different view than what you see on the TV. So the gamepad has a more like accurate zoomed in view of the level, so you can kind of like draw more accurate gusts of wind, whereas the TV has the more zoomed out view of the whole level, so you can see like an overview of what you're trying to do, which was cool.
Man, that
The
freaking
other one,
console had such potential, man.
I
So
know,
many great ideas on Nintendo Land alone.
it really did. I bet. Okay, so here's another one. So Yoshi's Fruit Cart, the player uses the stylus on the gamepad, which is a heavily underutilized thing in general. You're probably thinking,
True.
"Wow, it had a stylus?" Yes, it did. And the thing was obviously a touchscreen. So anyway, you use the stylus on the gamepad touchscreen to draw a trail that guides Yoshi to the finish line through like all these fun levels, like typical 2D Yoshi is. But the fruit is only visible on the TV screen, so the player must use the reference points in the level's background to draw the path on the gamepad.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't see it on the gamepad, you kind of just had to see and kind of draw paths.
Yeah.
Kind of just have to guess. That one was fun. Let's see, what are the other ones? The Mysterious Murasame Castle one is not that interesting. It's Takamura's Ninja Castle. The player uses the gamepad's touchscreen to launch shurikens at waves of enemies. So you're kind of just flinging them and then they go to the screen. Not super interesting.
I think it's very cool.
It's super cool, but like that's all you do. You're kind of just throwing things at enemies versus like traversing like a whole level. They kind of just pop up like on a stage.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what it reminds
that's
me of is Color Splash, shooting your card onto the top screen.
Yes. That was fun, though. It got
Yeah.
repetitive, but that was fun. But you never ran out of ink. There was never a possibility to run out of ink. Ink goes everywhere. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, those are just some of the games. There's a couple more. I think there's 12 in total. But those are the ones that I remember. Fun facts, though. Development of the game actually started right after the release of Wii Sports Resort, before the concept of the Wii U was ever like totally finalized. So they were just kind of dicking around with all these things, and they're like, "Yeah, this would be fun," or "Ooh, look at this, we could do this." And then I guess as they finalized it, they're like, "Okay, let's actually like get these mini games good to go." The lead to the team actually kind of suggested that all these mini games to be okay. So like Wii Sports Resort or like Wii Sports, the tech demo for the Wii, the theme of the thing was sports. So all the tech demos was put into sports. Whereas for this one, they had all these games, but they weren't necessarily attached to Nintendo IPs. They were just kind of like random games that you could do that the Wii U gamepad could be utilized for. So one of the team members suggested, hey, why don't we just make them popular Nintendo IPs and just kind of connect it that way and then have it be like a theme park. So it makes sense. And the team was like, nah, that doesn't make any sense. That would be too ambitious. But then, of course, later on, that's what they ended up doing. And then some of the mini games they couldn't. It was hard for them to decide a theme. One of those being Metroid Blast, which I didn't mention, but it was initially themed around Star Fox, and then the Donkey Kong course was either going to be Excite Bike or 1080 snowboarding. So we really missed out there. Let's see. Do I have anything else? Oh yeah. So as they were trying to finalize these kind of games in the Wii U's kind of design, the team experimented with different kinds of prototypes. One of said prototypes was the gyroscope, which obviously was indeed included, and it's still kind of in the Switch, which led Miyamoto incorporating that tech into the 3DS.
I love it.
So that's fun. The other thing is, so I looked up sales just because I was interested since it was a pack-in game, and as of March 31st, 2023, the game sold 5.21 million copies. Now, does that mean 5.21 million people went out to the store to buy it? No, that is not what that means. Means a big portion of that, maybe 95%, maybe 90%, it was just packed in with the Wii U, so they considered that a sale. But that's still a lot of copies of it floating out there.
It's interesting that it wasn't packed in with every Wii U. I got the 3D World bundle, and it came digitally. With Nintendo World was a digital inclusion. That's
Huh.
interesting.
See, I don't remember when I got my Wii U, but it was not right out of the gate. I got it for Christmas one year. My parents got it for me, so it was not like immediately. And mine had physical discs and physical
Oh my
cases.
gosh, I didn't know
Yep.
that. Holy crap!
Yep. Two physical discs.
What were the two games?
There were Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Nintendo Land.
Oh, that's right. You said you didn't get it for launch.
No.
Interesting.
Yep. So there's tons of bundles out there. Also, the other thing, for whatever reason, Nintendo removed the game from the eShop in November of 2013, but then re added it in August of 2016. So it was off for like 3 years.
What? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I agree. That also doesn't sound right. But alas.
I I got this game, like I just said, it came with my Wii U. I played it like once and I never gave it the time of day after that. I feel like I am missing out, honestly.
I love
Um
this game.
yeah. I've seen people talk about it on like Twitter and they're like, "Man, this game was so good." Also, it's crazy that 1-2 Switch wasn't a pack-in. Like they should have included that. Every time I think about that game, like they should have included that digitally. It's
That's
so
what I'm
weird.
saying. I mean, they included Wii Sports, and at some points, I think Wii Sports Resort in with the Wii. I think. Don't quote me on that one. But that's like one of the biggest, most popular Wii games of all time.
I always think it's kind of like I don't know how I feel about like telling like giant corporations who obviously know what they're doing like, "Hey, you should have done this." But like 1-2 Switch, I don't know. I guess to play devil's advocate, maybe they were like trying to say, "No, I got nothing. I got nothing."
Well, I love Nintendo, but like maybe somebody should have told them that the Wii U was going to be rocky. you know, they don't always make the best decisions.
I
But
think they
I
make
see
the
what you're saying.
best games when they are struggling a little bit, you know? The Wii
Yeah.
U is a great sign of that, and the Switch is a great opposite sign of that, where all we get is remasters, and then they occasionally throw us a good game. I don't know.
I think there's a much deeper conversation there, but yeah, I agree. They're like, "Man, we really got to make some money or we are gone, someone's going to buy us." Or so the rumors went.
The rumors were endless.
I have three honorable mentions. You said one already. The first one is Near Automata. That one was delightfully weird. I had never really stepped into the Near universe except for Drakengard, but that was a long time ago. And it was really weird, but very fun, and I'm very excited to play more of those games in the future. Also, another one is Namco Museum, or like any of the Namco Game Boy Advance games. Those are always fun to pick up, play some fun little Namco games, and then Nintendogs, because how could you not?
I loved me some Lab and Friends.
That's a great one. But yep, that's what I got.
We both chose Nintendo Wii U launch titles as our letter N picks.
They were great. Absolutely great.
I am pretty confident we share the same one for the letter O. I am going with Overcooked 2.
Yes, sir. Wow. That is exactly mine.
Well, I don't want to take all of the bullet points here. Um, I don't know. We can kind of tag team it, I guess. But it
Yeah, how
came
about it?
out. It came out August 17th, 2018. Developed by both Team 17 and Ghost Town Games. Published by Team 17. Literally every platform from the Switch to the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, PC, all the crap. Um, what is the genre of this game, Hannah?
It is a cooperative cooking simulation party game. Mwah.
Is that what Wikipedia says?
Yeah,
I forgot to look it up. That's hilarious. That pretty much
that's
defines
it.
it, though.
Yep.
Um, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. You can step in if I make any mistakes, but I think one word to describe this game is chaos. The
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This game is up to 4 players. You can play it single player, but it is definitely not meant to be played that way. If
No.
you play single player, you have to control 2 characters, I'm pretty sure. Is that correct?
Oh God.
Oh, you don't
Maybe.
even know. See,
No.
I've never played
No.
single player, neither has she. Don't buy this and play it alone.
No. 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 No.
I believe you can also play online, but once again, this is a game meant to be played in your living room on the couch with some friends.
Right.
Essentially, you're working in a restaurant kitchen and you're tasked with completing customer orders in a limited amount of time. The faster you get the orders out, the more points you get. And it's linear, it's level-based gameplay. You take on different types of dishes. So one level you may be making some cakes, and let's say it's a chocolate cake. So you start by cutting the chocolate on a chopping board. That's one action, and then you have to go pick up some eggs, put them in a mixing bowl, pick up some flour, put them in a mixing bowl, pick up that same chocolate you just chopped, throw that in a mixing bowl, and then when that's finished mixing for like 15 seconds, you bring the whole bowl to the oven where it bakes, and then you put it on a plate and you serve it to the customer. And that is like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of your life right there. And you got to do that really fast. You got to master that skill so good that it's going to be on your freaking resume.
Yep. You also gotta wash dishes.
Yes. Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. There should be no idle time in the kitchen, right? If someone is standing around, we have a problem. When you're not doing any of the stuff I just mentioned. What?
Said you better get to work.
You're busy washing plates if you're not doing any of the stuff I just mentioned. You're cutting ingredients for other cakes, or just simply start working on the next order. And oftentimes, it's not as simple as chopping 100 chocolate bars and making 100 of the same cakes. It's different flavors of cakes, and there's often levels where you will be cooking multiple types of dishes that utilize some of the same ingredients.
Yep.
It's crazy. I love everything about this game, but you get anywhere from 0 to 3 stars based on your performance. Once you 3-star every level in the game, you get the ability to 4-star every level, which seriously increases the challenge. Level design. Okay, I guess we're getting into my opinions at that bullet point. Do you have anything to add to the gameplay?
So instead of just thinking that you're in like one big giant kitchen, the level itself will kind of move around. Like some of the levels, I don't know if it's in 1 or 2 specifically, but you're on like hot air balloons or whatever. And like the whole kitchen, there's like 2 separate hot air balloons attached. And every so often it'll move so that you can only get there a certain way. Where you have to like traverse this or traverse that. You can fall off, which is always fun. There's also one where you're floating down the river and you and your partner are on one boat and you can't change, like, so you're just kind of designated to those specific roles. There's also one where there's like portals, you have to go through the different portals and they keep changing and it'll pop you out somewhere different. So it's a very big dynamic kitchen. It's always moving.
Yeah.
No level's
Huge.
like the same.
Well, why don't you talk about your feelings on the game? You can go for a minute.
I think that you have to be really, really good friends with the person next to you, because otherwise it'll get into some squabbles. You have to be comfortable with chaos, and you have to work fast under pressure. And you also have to have really great communication skills. Like you said, you cannot just be sitting there twiddling your thumbs, being idle. You have to be doing something at all times. Doesn't matter if it's tossing chicken across the lake or cutting something. Just do it. Do something. Because anything is better than nothing. So just, if you're going to play it, just be prepared to bark out orders and be barked at. And just receive that and don't take it personally. Just do it. You know? I love this game. I think it's probably made me and my friends closer because it's just like, you just have to be able to take direction but also give direction and just communicate where you are at all different points. I think it's maybe a better communicator, honestly. Put this in schools.
That's funny. I think that it is like simple enough that anyone can learn to play this game for the most part. Like, you don't have to be a gamer, but you really do have to. You got to be willing to get through some stress, anxiety. You're gonna get very angry. It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. Definitely not. You got to move.
They killed it with the level design. Honestly, it's very well thought out, and the developers have like done everything in their power to place you and your team in like these horrible situations that force you to strategize.
Yeah.
Um, I've been playing. I used to play with just me and my girlfriend for years, and I've recently started playing with her and my roommates. So we have an odd number of people, and just
Mm.
like seeing where they place you, it's like they intentionally choose the one person on their own to be stuck on this harder part where you would definitely rather have two people be, and it's pretty painful the way that the devs have put it that way. It's crazy.
It is. And I feel like it might just be a coincidence, but I feel like the map moves as soon as I don't want it to. It's like I very specifically need to get from point A to point B without having to, move around or like be blocked in by this one thing, but it always moves specifically where I don't want it to be. It's terrible. And then doing the dishes, I cannot tell you how much I hate doing dishes, both in real life and in this game. You only get a
Really.
set amount of plates. Yes, you only get a set amount of plates, and then somebody has to wash the dishes all the time. It's like, oh, the food's done. We don't have a plate. You gotta get the plate. Um, that's always like my big gripe with the game. I hate it. Also, you have to be very comfortable with like changing your role and being adaptive, because like I said, the area can move and you can get trapped somewhere. So say you're cutting up chicken and fries before, but then you get blocked out and moved. Now you gotta fry everything and plate it. So you gotta be really adaptive
That's a very
to
good
where you
point.
are. But I love this game. It is chaos, but it's also very very fun and very satisfying when you actually get through a level.
Do you play? Have you gotten any like parts where you're four-starring levels?
No, absolutely not. At best, we're getting barely 1 star. We're barely squeaking by.
Either
Absolutely not.
way,
It's
either
yeah.
way, this game is incredibly fun, and yeah, it's you feel a extreme satisfaction to get through a level, and it is. I mean, the videos you see of people yelling at their spouses while playing this game are 100% accurate, and I'm the yeller. I'm not. I hate to say it. I am the guy getting mad at this stupid game, and my teammates understand. Um, I don't know. We always end off the nights understanding that we don't hate each other's guts. So you just have to make sure you're
Right,
playing with the right people.
right.
Um,
Don't. It's not personal.
I've played Overcooked 1 to 100% completion. I'm working through 2 with all the DLCs. The DLCs are great. I I'm running out of levels quick, and I know that I am going to be very eager for an Overcooked 3 very soon.
They have to be working on it, right?
Yeah, they gotta be.
I mean, I know they do a lot of games. They also do moving out and all that kind of stuff, but like they have to be working on it. I
There are
hope.
also hidden levels to unlock. Um,
Mm.
these are like you can either get them via luck or by just googling the requirements, because there's nowhere in the game that will tell you how to unlock them, which I think is a little lame. But they're called Kevin levels. Kevin is the name of the dog in the game. He's like, there is some story that I could not care less about in the game. Um,
The Onion King.
but yeah, they're called Kevin levels, and most of they're not in Overcooked 1, I don't think, but in Overcooked 2, you have to like complete each like one specific level with 3 stars, but you have to get like X amount of points, and you have no idea how many points you need unless you go on the internet. It's very strange. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, those are usually pretty challenging.
I don't think I've ever unlocked one of those. So that's
Now you
fun.
know.
Now I know.
Um, yeah, I think if we finish this game and all the DLCs and we don't and we still don't have any word of Overcooked 3, I'll probably start this game from scratch because I love it that much. It is so freaking good.
It is a classic. I really do think so. It's also been like re-released. Like I know for the Switch they released it in a 1-2 pack along with all the DLC.
Oh yeah.
So they're definitely still thinking about it. Unless they just want to make as much money as they can, which I'm sure is also possible. But like maybe it's funding 3, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wanted to mention moving out here as well. It's not on the same level as Overcooked in my opinion. I haven't played the second one yet, but I do think moving out is a very solid. What would you call that? It's similar to Overcooked, but it's not quite on that level. So if you're out there listening to this and you're done with those both Overcooked games, go try moving out.
I can say without spoiling it, I can say that the second one, we only played like a little bit of it, but I was so excited to play it. It's more it's got like they fixed the button mapping a little bit because it was kind of wonky in the first one, and also there's like it's a little more nuanced. It's not more difficult, but there's more things to do, if that makes sense.
Nice.
So it turns up the chaos a little bit, if you will.
I think without exaggerating, this game is in my top 25 of all freaking time, Hannah. Overcooked 2. I love it so much.
Wow. It obviously outranks the first one, right?
Yeah, Overcooked 1 is very solid. It's just very short. There's not a ton of levels. And it's been a long time since I played the first one, but there were definitely some things that they improved upon in 2. We didn't even mention the Horde levels, but there are a few levels in Overcooked 2 where it's like a survival. Um, and those are a nice change of pace, I guess. Like instead of trying to get points to get 3 stars, you have to it's like Call of Duty Zombies. You have to like literally keep the enemies out, like these zombies out from your kitchen by feeding them their orders before they, destroy your base. So those are cool.
Oh, I've literally never played that one. Those
Spoiling
ones.
stuff out here.
Also, there's fire everywhere. You
Oh
burn
yeah,
something, fire spreads like crazy. Forgot about that, but
that's a
it's awesome.
game. I'm glad we can agree on Overcooked.
Yep, that was mine. My other honorable mentions is the Oregon Trail, because it's a classic, and I think it
I've
is
never played that.
delightfully. It is delightfully difficult and also super super simple. It took me a while to beat it just because I didn't really understand what you're supposed to do. Died of dysentery a lot. My people drowned down the river a lot, but I finally beat it. Love it. It's great. And
When the
then
heck did you play
maybe
that?
my so my friend is a teacher, and so sometimes I'll just go in her class and just cause chaos and play on the computer because it's fun. And so I just sat there for like an 8 hour day, and I tried to beat the Oregon Trail.
I love that.
It's awesome. There are so many different versions out there. There's even a card game, which I have and have played. Not as fun as the game, but I love it. It's just so delightfully simple.
What else were you gonna say?
Okami. It might overtake Overcooked 2. We'll see. What if it's just that awesome?
Yeah, I also wrote that. I said,
Yep.
soon the answer may be Okami, but I doubt it because I love Overcooked too much.
We'll see. We will let you know
Yeah.
in 2 months.
Alright, let's get to P, which is kind of an obvious one. I'm choosing a Pokemon game, and
Ah.
I'm choosing Pokemon Diamond Gen 4. Came out April
Wow.
22nd, 2007. Developed by Game Freak, published by Nintendo. This was a DS game, and it was later remastered for the Nintendo Switch a couple of years ago. Um, so I just want to. I started with Gen 1, and like I got Pokemon Red in 2004, way after it came out. My next games were Silver and Crystal, and then I didn't even play Gen 3 for whatever reason. I just never had Ruby or Sapphire or Emerald. And then I played the living heck out of Diamond. I played like 400 plus hours on my first playthrough of this. Um, this
Whoa.
game is standard Pokemon. Like you get your 8 gym badges and complete your Pokédex. This was before they changed everything in the later games where they ditched the gym badges. Um, I guess what sets this game apart from its predecessors, like some new features they added. There was the underground. You could mine gems underground, build your secret base up, just like a little customizable thing. Um, Fun thing to do with friends. There was like a local multiplayer for this feature as well, and you could participate in mini games if I remember correctly with friends, and you guys could you could go see each other's bases underground. Um, you had your Poketch in this game, which was literally your touch screen. It was like a smartwatch type deal before smartwatches existed. There were
Sweet.
a lot of like useless features on this thing, like a freaking calculator and a drawing pad. But there were some cool ones, like a pedometer, which would be very useful for hatching eggs. You could also see the map at all times, which was a huge plus. Um, there was trading and battling online for the first time in a Pokemon game. I was so into this game, Hannah. I used to do this duplication glitch, like where you would trade someone Pokemon online, and then on the screen where it says "Do not turn your DS off," I clearly did not obey that, and I shut the console off. And wouldn't you know
No.
it, I had double the Pokemon when I finished.
Huh. Did they also get double the Pokemon or just you?
Just me.
Wow, you greedy, greedy person.
I remember learning about that on YouTube or something way back in the day. I got really
That's
good at it.
awesome.
It would help me trade for legendaries and whatever else I needed to complete the decks. Um, they also had some new Pokemon contests. They apparently were in Gen 3. I say apparently. I did end up playing Gen 3 eventually, but they had some new Pokemon contests, but I wasn't a big fan of them. Um, you would like dress up your Pokemon to get cute points or whatever, and there was like a basic rhythm game. I don't know. Contests, kind of like lame little side things, not for me personally. Um, and then this is like such a Nintendo design to include something like this, but because you had the GBA slot in the bottom of your DS, it meant you could connect your Gen 4 games to literally any of the Pokemon games from GBA, and you could transfer between them.
Mm.
uh, you could literally trade Pokemon to yourself from like friggin' Ruby or Sapphire or Fire Red, and the DS was such a great console. It was so cool.
Could you do that with Pokemon Silver and Crystal too, or just Game Boy Advance ones?
No, they don't fit in the DS. The big boy Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges don't fit.
Oh, really? Huh. I feel like I should have known that.
If I was
Well,
choosing which Pokemon game is like the best, it probably wouldn't be this one. But thankfully, like I said earlier, this is a list about our favorites,
right.
and it mostly goes back to nostalgia for me. I know, it's like Zelda. You know, if you ask people what their favorite game is in the series, it's probably going to be the one they played when they were a teenager. And this is, I wasn't quite a teenager with Pokemon Diamond, but this is obviously the one I spent so many freaking hours playing. I bought Diamond like launch day, and my cousin bought Pearl. We got the games because his mom, my aunt, was driving us around. She took us to whatever the closest game store was, and my cousin was able to get Pearl, but they were sold out of Diamond. So she literally took us to another store. I don't remember how many stores we had to drive to, but she did not stop till we found Diamond, which thank you, Aunt, for that. That was, you're a real one
Aw.
for that.
That's cute.
I feel like if it was my kid, I'd be like, yeah, you're both getting Pearl and we're going home. Let's go.
Suck it up. Suck it up.
um, Dozens of hours playing these games with my best friends after school and stuff. I distinctly remember one friend had a strategy guide, and it was always a treat to use that when he came over because I didn't have a smartphone to just Google what level does Mareep evolve. Like, it was so nice to have the whole Pokédex in a book, and it shows you where to catch each Pokemon, like what route, and it was awesome.
Man, bring back
Um,
strategy guides.
I actually found that strategy guide at Goodwill several years ago, and I absolutely bought it. You bet your bottom dollar, Hannah.
That's awesome. I bet it's pretty expensive too.
I don't know. So this was like the closest I ever got to finishing a Pokédex. I'm pretty close on Scarlet and Violet now, or Scarlet, I suppose. But I got like 10 away from completing the Pokédex, and I never completed it. I think there were like some weird like mystery gift Pokemon that I wasn't able to get, and I don't know. Doesn't matter now. I was very close though.
Man, what could have been?
The music, as with all Pokemon games, was fantastic. I loved everything about this game, even down to like the user interface. Like the Pokédex, you could scroll through it by spinning a freaking Pokeball with your stylus on the bottom screen. It's the little things, man.
That is fun.
I had such a great time exploring like the world even after finishing the game, going into each area, getting the mythical and legendary Pokemon. It felt like there was just like so much to do and get. And yeah, I think I will eventually play Brilliant Diamond on the Switch. I got it recently, like in the last year, very cheap at GameStop. Um, yeah. I also think a huge part of me loving this game so much is like I was just a huge gamer. Like I've always played video games pretty much my whole life. But when the Wii and DS era hit, man, I was just all the freaking time. I don't even know how I had time to play this many games, but I was gaming so much. Um, Literally that era, I played hundreds of hours. Um, but yeah. Any thoughts on Gen 4? You ever played Gen 4?
Nope. No, I have not. I own Diamond and I own Pearl, but I have never played them.
Nice.
Surprise. I just don't really like Pokemon that much. I know it's a hot take.
You play
Pokemon Go, though? Hell yeah. Love Pokemon Go. No.
I guess you don't. I mean, you played like Gen 1? Yeah?
My brother and I, he owned Silver. I played that one a little bit when he wasn't looking, and then my first Pokemon game was Emerald, and that was fun, but I don't think I ever beat that.
Interesting.
Yep.
Honorable mentions. I haven't mentioned this game in a long time, but The Punisher from PS2 and Xbox is very good. That game holds up really well today. It is just senseless violence, and I don't think Marvel will ever release something like that again, but that game was awesome. And
Darn.
then a game I've never played that is big is Pikmin.
Yeah, Pikmin's okay.
Which one have you played?
I've played all of them.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. They're okay. They're just not for me.
Well, with that, you are up, my friend.
Okay, the only Pokemon game that's on my P list is Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh.
And that is not the one I'm choosing. It's an honorable mention.
Okay.
As well as Puyo Puyo Tetris. That was so close to being the one that I chose. But if I had to choose between that one and the one that I'm going to do, I would definitely choose not that one, because it gets repetitive and tired. Also Pac-Man, because I just loved going to like the arcade, a traditional arcade, and playing like the actual machine. It's also one that my parents used to play, and then so it was kind of like, oh yeah, let's go play Pac-Man. It was kind of one of those fun things, like back in my day I used to play it, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Also, Pong is classic. Love Pong. Super easy, super simple, but very fun nonetheless. And then also, I don't know if you ever played this one, but it's a computer game. It's called Pop Tropica. that was all the rage when we were kids, and I think it's definitely still running because me and my friends played it like just a couple months ago. Super fun. It's more like not educational, but like it tries to teach you things, you know. So that one's fun. Okay. But my the P that I chose is Paper Mario 64. Mwah.
Let's go.
I love this game. It's one that I talk about a lot. I like it better than 1,000 Years Door, and I'll die on that hill. It is, in my opinion, the peak of the Paper Mario games. Everyone since then, it's just been a total and utter disappointment. I'm being facetious. That's not true. But like this is the best one. Because the other Paper Marios are fine. They're just not as good as this one. So this one was developed by Intelligent Systems. Nintendo originally planned for Square of Square Enix to develop the game since they developed Mario RPG, but they were busy making Final Fantasy VII, so Intelligent Systems was hired instead. Do you know that?
Uh-uh.
It was originally called Super Mario RPG 2 and was slated for the 64DD, which is that weird extension thing over there in Japan. Intelligent Systems is also responsible for Final Fantasy, WarioWare. No, not Final Fantasy. Oh, Fire Emblem. Jesus. WarioWare games. But they also did work on Duck Hunt, Donkey Kong 3, Metroid, Mario Bros.
Dang.
And Cubivore. If you knew that.
Oh, wow.
And Advance Wars. Of course. And they're still around. They're still developing games for Nintendo. I think their latest one they worked on was Fire Emblem Engage or whatever one of the other ones is. I'm not sure exactly. But they're still around. They're still bebopping around. Working for
Nice.
Nintendo, of course. And the game was obviously published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64, as is in the title. It was co-produced by Miyamoto, so you know it's got to be great. It's the first game in the Paper Mario series, but it borrowed heavily from Super Mario RPG, obviously. So if you like Super Mario RPG, you're definitely going to like the Paper Mario series, specifically this one, A Thousand Year Door. The other ones are kind of hit or miss, like I said. Released in the US on February 5th of 2001. Has seen subsequent releases on the Wii's Virtual Console, the Wii U Virtual Console, and is now available on NSO if you have the expansion pack. So, many releases for this game. Will we see remaster? Probably never. But, we'll see.
Kind of
As
weird
far as
that they
gameplay
skipped
goes...
it and went straight to Thousand Year Door.
Yeah. Well, it seems like they are super eager to remaster GameCube games because they already look so great and people are so fond of them, and charge you $60 for them instead of including GameCube games on Nintendo Switch Online. So...
That's a good point.
I don't know if we'll ever see GameCube games on Nintendo Switch Online. But we'll see. They're happy paying $60. I mean, charging $60. And we will pay them. As far as gameplay goes, it's a turn-based RPG. Has a buddy system, so it's you as playing Mario, and then an interchangeable buddy that you kind of collect as you go along. Each kind of, like, area has its own themed buddy, if you will. They got rid of this feature later on because I don't know why. They don't have the buddy system anymore in the modern games, I guess because they wanted to spruce up the combat a little bit. But that's like one of the things that people love so dearly about these games, is there's these unique kind of characters. Some are better than others. The first Goomba, I can't remember his name, but he's not so good. But Watt and freaking Boo, she smacks the shit out of people with the fan. It's awesome. The other fun thing is it really leans into, like, the whole paper aesthetic. I don't know why specifically they decided to go with paper, but, like, the funny thing is he'll, like, a strong breeze will come through and he'll get blown away and he'll, like, shimmy in the freaking wind. Funny, that kind of has that kind of humor. He also gets crushed or, like, can fit vertically through, like, jail bars or whatever he's ever locked up. It's just those kind of, like, funny little quirky things that have to do with paper. Let's see. In typical RPG fashion, you can upgrade your weapons throughout the game. Specifically, the boots and hammer, you kind of collect and get better ones as you go through. You also, if you get enough XP, you level up, blah, 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 blah. Makes you stronger, you hit harder, and there's also a badge system, which is another cool thing that people really like about it. So you collect these badges throughout your journey. You can also, like, buy them or unlock them or get them from certain characters if you go, like, doing this quest or something. And a lot of them are super useful. Like, my favorite one was, I don't remember what it's called, but you attach it to your character, and then you can see, like, the HP bar of all the enemies, and prior to that, you didn't know. You could see I think you could see the bar, but you couldn't see, like, the number. So you couldn't see that an enemy had 200 life points. You could just see the bar. Or something like that. Very helpful, though. Not all of them are that helpful. Let's see. Fun facts. The game was revealed at Nintendo Space World 97, which, if you didn't know what that is, it's a video game trade show hosted by Nintendo. So, like, bring back Nintendo Space World. How cool would that be? Be awesome. So, the game took inspiration from the graphics of Parappa the Rapper, and Looney Tunes. So, that's kind of cool. Kind of had that
neat.
Looney Tunes-esque art style. But yeah, I love this game. I played this game. I watched my cousin and my brother play it because he owned it. My cousin, so when he'd come over to play or hang out with us, he would bring it. But it is so delightfully, like, the humor is so good. Even like a child can kind of pick up on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Yeah.
weird, quirky, weird things that just kind of make it super unique. I also don't really like turn-based things, but it's weird when you slap Mario on it. It just makes it so much better. And then I think that's all. The other honorable mention I have is Pokemon Let's Go, which I know is a controversial one, because people didn't like the catching mechanic. But I super enjoyed it. It's the only Pokemon game where I've ever actually completed the Pokédex. And Pokemon Arceus, which I liked how it kind of mixed up the formula of Pokemon, but also I never beat that one either.
I feel like I don't even remember you buying that game and playing it.
I did. I got distracted by something else when I was playing it, so I therefore never finished it. But me and Pokemon, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, which I think is why I like Pokemon Go a lot. Because it's kind of, you can do a lot of different things in Pokemon Go. And yeah, you're still catching the same Pokemon, but there's also like daily challenges and all these fun things you can do. And you can unlock this outfit customizable, like a shirt or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Pokemon's kind of crazy. It's got its foot in so many places. Like, you can be a fan of one thing and not even like the other stuff. You can collect TCG, you can watch the anime, you can play the games. Pokemon Go, I would consider its own thing. Like, there's so many different things that you could be into and be a Pokemon fan with, like, have no care for, like, another thing that it has its foot in.
Yeah, I agree. They're really doing smart things over there with their IP. So maybe I guess Pokemon Go should have been up here. But
Oh, that's a good one.
darn it, should have done that one. It's right there in the name. But yeah,
That makes
I would
sense why you
definitely
like Arceus and Let's Go, because they're both not the same thing over and over and over, I guess.
yeah, at least yeah, well, I mean, Let's Go was kind of the same thing over and over again, but like it was more interactive because you got to like actually swing the ball at it. I got the one with the Pokemon attachment, so that was the
Yeah.
controller and that was fun. It was something different. I also never played Yellow when I was younger, so I was like, gotta play that one. It's the best Pokemons in the game, in the whole Pokemon universe, so I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I had a friend who was like, yeah, you gotta get me all these Pokemons so we can trade. And so that was also a motivating thing.
That's the one where I think you get that metal dude Melton in Pokemon Go, right? You have to connect it to the Switch.
Yes, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Which I have a feeling about that. I don't like when Pokemon does those exclusives. Like back in the day, it's like, oh yeah, you had to go to the game store this specific week, this specific year, and then otherwise you're never getting it. I hate that.
It certainly doesn't age well.
I freaking hate that. But yeah, I don't know. They don't really have that so much anymore, I don't think.
Lately it's been like, yeah, from this month to this month you enter this code and you'll get like a free shiny legendary or whatever. Um so like not like things that you have to complete the Pokédex, but more like shiny stuff or, you know, things that you could still get in the game, but we're going to give you this version of it or whatever.
I guess that's better. Still not great, but it's better. But yeah, bring back freaking Nintendo Space World, man.
Oh yeah.
E3's dead. Let's bring back Space World.
Sign me up. All right, Q should be a pretty quick one for me at least, but releasing in October in October on the 18th, 1982, It's Cubert. And I hate to
Oh
go with
man,
Cubert.
shoot.
I really hate to go with Cubert, but I haven't played many or maybe any other Q games. This is
Yep.
developed and published by Gottlieb, uh, one of the big names from the classic arcade days. Published for arcades, obviously. It's a puzzle platformer. It's high score based. Um, did you pick Cubert?
I did pick Cubert.
Okay. To quickly explain the game, it's an isometric point of view type of deal where you play as like this slightly cute but also slightly weird looking creature. His name's Cubert, and it is Q asterisk Bert. Okay, it's not a dash. It's nothing. It's an asterisk. Your goal is to change the color of every platform on this pyramid you're placed on, and you start at the top of the pyramid. Each level will tell you what color you're aiming for. So there are enemies jumping along the pyramid with you. You don't want to accidentally jump on a platform where an enemy is about to jump onto. It's classic arcade stuff. You touch an enemy, you lose a life. You start back at the top of the pyramid. You can also jump to your death, so don't do that. If you're lucky, you can get the jumping snake enemies onto like this spinning platform, and you can kill him, but that's like your only means of self-defense. You have 2 legs and no arms, and you're just out here jumping for your life. Once you get further, you have to jump on a platform multiple times to get to the correct color, and it's like at this time you can also start cycling through the colors on each platform. Like when you first start out, it's like, okay, I have to get from yellow to blue. So I jump on a yellow platform and it turns blue. And then if I accidentally jump on that platform again, it's not going to go back to yellow. Later on, that is not the case. If you need to go back a direction you just came from, you have to jump on a platform that you were done with and then cycle through it all again. And then this is like where the game gets very strategic and you have to really consider your jumps. But you don't have a lot of time to consider your jumps because you've got different types of enemies coming at you from all kinds of angles. It's hectic. It's probably one of the first video game characters to cuss when he gets injured. He's iconic for having a speech bubble with multiple symbols in it, which
Yep.
you can only imagine he's using profane language.
What's your profanity?
And anything to add, Hannah?
No, this is great. Keep going. This is more in depth than I went into.
I have only played this game a handful of times. Most of what I just read you comes from me watching a gameplay on YouTube last night while taking notes.
Beautiful.
I hate to say it, I've never been, never played a whole ton of Cubert, but I put it on this list because it's probably the only Q game I've ever played. Some big name Q games that I have not played: Quake and Quest 64.
Yep. Well, Cubert is the only one that I've played, and I can't really say that I've played it that much. So, back when I was first like getting into collecting games in high school, when I first like could drive, had my own car, I went to a garage sale with a friend, right? Because we were collecting games, and that was the only way to do it cheaply back then. And I found this one specific NES game, along with Metroid Prime 1 and 2, like the little combo for the GameCube, and then a NES Zapper. And I was like, this is awesome. $20, yeah, sold. So then I did not even have an NES at the time so that I could play it. I was just collecting everything and anything that's video game related. And so when I finally got my NES, I plugged it in. And I realized that my NES, like the little tray thing was loose. So I had to like tape that shit down to get it to play. Otherwise it'd pop out. And it must have been like water damaged or something, or like maybe it was a fake cartridge. I don't know. I still have it. But like, you know, the level in Pac-Man, level 255, when it goes to 256 or tries to go to 256, it's like half of the world or half of the map is like just numbers and letters and like weird characters and stuff. It was like that. So I don't know what happened to this poor cartridge, but I could only play half of the game. So I only got to level 1. And only half of it.
I think every NES game will do that. I don't know. I mean, it might have been damaged, but that seems to happen to me quite often. And it's just like you just have to keep blowing on that thing and taking it out, putting it back in. I literally can't stand playing on my NES. Even after replacing the pin connector, like, games just barely work on this thing.
I did it forever. I was licking that thing. I was blowing on it. I cleaned it out. Cleaned it with alcohol. I cleaned the whole damn thing. Took it apart. Put it back
Not
together.
licking
Replaced the
it.
pin. Oh, yeah. Yep. You know. Rub a little spit in it. It'll be fine. Yeah, it never worked. So that was my experience with Qbert. But I was like researching Qbert on the Wikipedia and otherwise. This game's been everywhere. It's on so many different consoles, ones that I don't even know how to frickin' pronounce.
I have it on PlayStation, which is not the same game, but I was just looking at it. I just pulled it off the shelf while you were talking. It looks like it looks pretty cool. It is definitely an expanded, 90s 3D version of Qbert. Might have to pop that in 15 years or something. I don't know.
I also have just a little bit more information because I thought it was fun because I couldn't really explain the gameplay there. But the game was developed during the period when Columbia Pictures owned, how'd you say it? Gottlieb? Gottlieb?
Something like that.
Yeah, anyway, I think it's a German word. Could be different. I don't know. So the IP rights of Qbert remained with Columbia even after they didn't have Gottlieb's assets anymore as of 1984. So the rights are owned by Sony Pictures Entertainment since it's the parent company. Sony acquired Columbia in 1989, which is why he's kind of appeared in some of the Sony properties, or it's like Sony. What's their movie industry called? Pictures Entertainment? Yeah, I just said that. Which I think is the weird video game movie Pixel. I think they also did that one. But he was also licensed out to Disney to appear in Wreck-It Ralph.
That's where I distinctly remember him as Wreck-It Ralph.
And then he's been referenced in tons of pop culture stuff South Park or The Simpsons or all these other kind of pop culture things. He's been everywhere. It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy to think about. Everyone thinks of Pac-Man or Centipede or all those, and Donkey Kong is classic arcade games, but this guy's been around.
Yeah, it's weird. I think Pac-Man was also 81 or 82, right around the same time, and he hasn't stuck around. I mean, I guess he doesn't have a modern presence. At least Pac-Man, still they're trying to get him into modern games, and every 5 minutes there's a new Namco Museum game. Qbert is not the same.
Well, Pac-Man's in Smash Brothers, so he'll live forever. But also, Qbert had not failed sequels, but sequels that didn't really take off. And also canceled games that they kind of just released on the internet because it was never going to get made. So believing the game was too easy, the developers wanted to create a more difficult version called, get this, Faster, Harder, More Challenging Qbert.
Of course. What else would you name it?
The name didn't take off, but it increased the difficulty, obviously, as it says right there in the title, but also introduces Q-Bertha, which I guess is the female evil counterpart to Qbert.
Q-Bertha. I love it.
I thought that was worth mentioning. It's very fun. Also, there was a pinball game called Q-Bert's Quest in 83. And also Q-Bert's Cubed with a Q was a sequel that introduced new enemies and all sorts of fun things. The goal of the game is to line up cubes to a target sample right there on the screen by jumping on them to get them to rotate. So very, very similar, but just a little bit different in what you jump on and what it does.
I wonder what the latest Qbert game was. Surely it's not this PlayStation one.
No, in 2019 there was a Qbert game for iOS. For iOS.
A Qbert game, or it was just Qbert?
Just
the Qbert game?
I think it's just Qbert, iOS.
I wonder what the last new Qbert game was.
2014, Qbert rebooted.
All right. I guess she's got the wiki up.
I do. Released on Steam, iOS, and Android. Versions for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PS Vita were released on February of 2015.
Rebooted and right to the graveyard.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with Qbert talk. You can close
Yeah, we're
that
done.
webpage.
No more Q. Bye-bye, Q.
All right, Hannah, it's time to talk about Rayman 2 for the 15th time, but we're going to make it interesting, so don't sigh or anything stupid. All right, we're going to talk about Rayman 2, The Great Escape, November 9th, 1999, developed and published by Ubisoft. It came out on the N64 and the Dreamcast, the PS1 and the PC, and then they ported it to 100 different consoles after that. It is a 3D platformer. And let me set the tone, Hannah. This setting is a mystical world known as the Glade of Dreams. The opening scene gives you the backstory about how robo-pirates have been going around the galaxy destroying over 100 planets, and now they've come for Rayman's homeworld.
Oh,
You see
no.
your character being dragged through a prison, tired and defeated. In the background are people locked up, calling for help. When he gets into his cell, Rayman looks up and finds his best friend Glowbox, a tiny glimmer of happiness before returning to his melancholy state. You see, Rayman and his allies had battled hard against the robo-pirates, but it wasn't enough. The planet's core was destroyed, whatever the heck that means.
No.
Magical yellow lums were scattered into 1,000 pieces, precisely 1,000. And because of this, our protagonist's power is weakened.
Oh, no.
But then, Glowbox says he was given a silver lum by Lee the Fairy, and he pulls it out of his mouth, where I guess he was storing it, and he gives it to Rayman, where he and Glowbox are able to escape from the prison cell, and your journey begins.
Wow. Sold.
No, like, I'm not even kidding. The story of this game is actually very deep and very grim for a children's game. The setting, incredibly eerie. Some levels are straight up disturbing. I think this game may have gotten a different rating had it released in 2024. It's very just like surprisingly deep story. It isn't without its comedic relief though. There are some parts of this game that creep me the heck out as a kid. Anyone who has played through it, the Cave of Bad Dreams, you know what I'm talking about. It is a level-based 3D platformer that is mostly linear, although there are one or two levels where you have to return to a level so that you can access a new area after you've acquired some key items. You acquire a few upgrades throughout the game to keep it feeling fresh and interesting. From the get-go, you can shoot orbs from your hands to kill enemies, and in level 1, you get the ability to glide with Rayman's hair, which turns into like a helicopter of sorts. It's creative.
Wow.
I've probably told the story in an old podcast episode, but I was playing this game at my uncle's house and really didn't want to leave because I was having such a great time. My uncle ended up giving me the game to take home. As a kid, I must have been so excited. And I still have that cartridge to this day. I must have beaten the game like 3 to 4 times as a kid. I loved it so much.
Wow.
Boss fights, pretty solid from what I remember. I really like the scenery of the game. The world that they created for this game is like really something special. The characters were memorable. The freaking music. Shout out to Eric Chevalier for composing some incredible music. Unfortunately, like I'm not blind to it. The one downside to this game is a big one, and it is the combat, which is so freaking stale. You like just mash the A button to shoot orbs at these robo-pirates or whoever your enemy may be, and that's it. I mean, there's no variety in the combat whatsoever, and as I've gotten older, I've realized how repetitive and boring it is. But yeah, overall, definitely my favorite game that starts with an R. I definitely typing this up got me so in the mood to play this game. I think I'm going to stream it soon. It's been a few years since I've played it, and I think the world needs to see some Rayman 2.
That would be a good idea. I can't believe how interested you are in the story, despite not being a story guy.
Right. um, each original version of this game has different advantages, so that could be annoying for someone who is just trying to experience the game for the first time, but for someone like me who wants to play different versions of the game, it's pretty exciting. So check this out. The N64, in my opinion, has the best music, and I grew up with this one, so I can attest to it being like a solid way to play. But overall, the Dreamcast or PC versions are the way to go. They look really freaking good, and they play really freaking good. The Dreamcast version actually has more content than the others, and is like visually is the best version, which is very cool. The overworld is my favorite part of the Dreamcast version. It's completely reinvented from all the other versions. It's like stunning. It's it's so different. Like you in the N64 version, for example, you go into the Hall of Doors is what they call it, and it's like that's where you enter each level. You enter a door of sorts. It's like a portal, but you enter a door and it's a hallway because it's like it's slim, it's not a whole lot going on. But in the Dreamcast version, it's the Isle of Doors. They literally changed it to be this fully rendered 3D environment, and you are walking on an island to get to your next door. It is very pretty. It's very cool. And then there's the PS1 version, which is not the best way to play, but it does have fully voice acted characters, where like in the other versions they're literally just speaking Rayman gibberish. I just found out last night while taking notes that the PS1 version was developed by Ubisoft Shanghai, so a completely different like studio developed it, which is interesting. But it is considered the worst. It's still a good game, but there are a lot of things that were cut. And just to keep this version relevant, I also found out that you can play a level from the canceled 2D prototype of the original Rayman 2 that they were intending to make. If you finish this game with at least 90% completion, you can play a level from the canceled 2D prototype. How freaking cool is that?
That is awesome. Have you ever played it then?
I've never even played the PlayStation version. This is so cool, and this is all news to me, man.
Cool. Are you gonna play it now?
I feel like I gotta. So that's Rayman 2. I hope I've inspired one person out there to play this game or to come watch me play it. But honorable mentions, I've talked about how much I love Red Dead 2. That was a fantastic game from 2018. Would recommend. And Rock Band, because holy crap, what a great game. Nothing has even compared to Rock Band in the last decade. We need more Rock Band.
I agree. We just need more rhythm games in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, take it away.
So I would first like to say that my two honorable mentions were also Rock Band, and then I also have Red Dead Redemption ? Because it could be. I haven't played it yet, but I will. So I will say that I tried my hardest to find one that resonated with me more than my choice, because I know nobody wants to hear about it. But alas, it might be my only opportunity to talk about it, so I picked RuneScape for my R. But I'll keep it brief.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I promise. So if you haven't heard, RuneScape is a fantasy MMORPG developed by Jagex. It has over 300 million accounts, and is recognized as the largest and most updated free MMORPG. I don't think it's the largest, but at least the free one. The first version released on January 4th of 2001. The original RuneScape was released in beta form. As the game grew in popularity, the game's engine was rewritten and released as R2, and the original version was kind of just renamed or is referred to now as RS Classic, RuneScape Classic. The third iteration of the game is called R3, still called R3 now, or it's called RuneScape 3, called R3 if you play the game now, released in 2013. Another version of the game called Old School RuneScape, which is the one that I love that one so much. So it could have fit in with O, but the whole, I don't know, game in general is just called RuneScape, so I decided to do R. It was released in February of 2013, and is modeled after the 2007 version of the game. As far as I am aware, there are only 2 versions of the game that are kind of like maintained by Jagex, which are R3 and Old School. I don't know if the other ones are available in some form. I'm sure someone out there has probably dug up the old games and recreated it, but the only ones maintained by Jagex, which is the company that created it, is R3 and Old School. So when I started playing, it must have been R2, which would be the second iteration with the rewritten engine, because I played it, like I watched my brother and my cousin, who are 3 years older than I am, play it when I was like 6 or 7, but being as it's an MMORPG and you can meet all sorts of weird people, my parents didn't want me to make my own account until I was a little bit older. So I looked it up, because you can go to like the main, I don't know, village or town or whatever, and you can ask one of the characters there how long you've been playing or how old your account is. So I started this account, the one that I made now, in 2006, and I played it for over 1,000 hours.
Heck yeah.
So take that what you will. And that's just my main account. Like a lot of people have multiple accounts that they kind of main for different things. But this one is the one that I've used on like almost my entire life. So the original count that I made back in 2006, like I said, I think was an R2. I don't know specifically because I could never go back to that. Then it was just called RuneScape. It's always just been called RuneScape. It's just kind of referred to on the back end as the R2, R3 designation. It looks very similar to how Old School looks now, which is obviously why I like that version better. So there's kind of like a controversy around the kind of RuneScape thing, because the original count that I had made way back in the day, 2006, it went through the iterations of the game. So it started off as R2, then it went to R3, and you didn't really get to choose. The game just kind of naturally progressed that way as it was updated. So a lot of the things like combat changed, and it became more like typical RPGs are. So like for combat, for example, before it was literally just kind of clicking a button and it would auto attack for you, and it was one designation. It was either you were skilling attack, defense, or strength, and that was it. So it was auto repeat. You didn't have to do anything. You just sit there, right, and make sure you don't die. But then as it progressed into R3, it decided to take on more RPG elements. So like when you were attacking a character, you could actually use like specific moves. There was like cooldown counters for all the moves that you could do. Some hit more frequently, some hit more powerful, blah, blah, blah. Like a typical RPG would. So you didn't really get a choice on if you upgraded to that, which is why Old School was so cool, because it kind of went back to the roots of that. So I now have 2 accounts, but it's the same name. So they let you use your old name from your other account, and it just kind of split off into 2. So I have an account on R3, and that was the original account that I started with. And then I made a separate account in Old School with the same name. I just had to start over. So that kind of sucks. So all my skills reset, which is unfortunate, but I mean, I've put 1,000 hours into it. It's fine. It's all good. As far as gameplay goes, if you've never played an MMORPG, especially one as simple as this one, there's basically a couple different ways to play. So you can be a skiller, which means that you just kind of go through all the different sets of skills. So there's like woodcutting, there's fishing, cooking, mining, all those kinds of things. So basically you're logging into the game and you're just grinding all day long, getting experience to get that level as hard as you can. The higher the level goes, the more things you can do with it. So like mining is like my favorite skill to do. So you mine like, I think it's not coal. You mine silver and tin, or first, that's like the beginning levels, and then as you progress you can get iron, which gives you more experience. You can also do it faster. Then you can do like the more delicate things like mithril ore, or coal, mithril ore, adamant ore, and then rune ore, which is like you have to be really, really high level for that. So obviously they sell more because it's harder to get them. There's also people who play just for like people killing. So like there are people killing worlds and people killing areas. So you can just attack anyone you want, wherever you want, and they're real people. They're real accounts, and there's real repercussions if you get killed. There's also monster hunting or boss killing. So there's ever so frequently they'll update the game and they'll add like a new boss. It's like some giant thing they have to be like super prepared for or you die. That's really fun. It's like one of those things that you kind of progress towards your whole, I don't know, career, if you want to say, and then you beat them, which is really fun. There's no end to the game, obviously. The only thing you can really do is max out all of your skills, but only a few people have done that, and not a lot of people do that. That's not the goal. There's also quests that you can do, and then every year they have a whole bunch of holiday quests. Like every year there's an Easter quest, a Halloween quest, a Christmas quest, all those, and you can unlock like different outfits, different things that you can do, like you can throw snowballs at people, or you can carry around like an Easter basket and egg people, fun things like that. Also a really cool thing is they have a fully integrated like trading system. So it's called the Grand Exchange, and so it follows like the real world basics of supply and demand. So if there's little supply of something, it's going to be very expensive. And it fluctuates every day. Like it'll change. I think it's updated every 15 minutes, but I could be wrong. So you'll buy something for like 100 gold one day, and then tomorrow it could be 200 gold. It just depends on like how much people are putting into it in a day, which I think was super cool.
That's
I don't know
very
if it was the
interesting.
only game to do that or not, but I
Feels
think
like
it's one of the biggest games.
it feels like it's ahead of its time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's really fun. Of course, it's moderated by like the developers. Like they don't want something to be ridiculously expensive, or you can't buy like all of the stock of something. Like there's parameters for which you can buy things, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty fair. Also, the game is split into free to play or pay to play. So I have never paid a single dime, despite having
I
put a
was about
thousand
to
hours in.
ask, like, how in the world has this company made any money? Tell me about pay to play.
So back in the day, when I first started, it was just like a monthly payment. I think it was like $7 a month or whatever, and you got access to everything, right? Nothing was held back. You could have all the quests, all the bosses, all of the mini games, all that kind of stuff. Or you could just be like me and pay not at all and just play like the very, very small but still enjoyable part of the game. So that's a huge world, right? Just imagine like a giant map for pay to play, and then the free to play gets like this teeny tiny little section over here down in the corner.
And that is
So
enough for you to put 1,000+ hours in.
yes it is across two
Crazy.
accounts. Yeah. Um. So now I think you can still pay a monthly fee or like a yearly fee or whatever, because I think it's also on Steam now too, so you can kind of incorporate it with that. But they have these things in the Grand Exchange, which is the big trading thing. It's called bonds, and so you can get a bond for like, I think the last time I looked it was like 7 million, which is a lot of dollars. Let me tell you that. It took me 10 years probably to get a million in pay to play or in free to
Oh
play.
my gosh.
So it's 15 days for $7 million, and that fluctuates all the time. But instead of paying real world money, you can just grind in the game and make all that money. So you really don't have to pay for it with real money anymore, but I think some people do because people don't want to be grinding for money all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The other thing that's really cool is chat. So like it's an MMORPG, so there's just random people, everyday people everywhere. So the tree that you want to cut, there's somebody there, and they can hear. Well, they can't hear, but you type in your chat, and then whatever you type in appears above your head, so everyone in that general area can see it. So I think it's really cool. You can also make friends. You can meet really creepy people, which there are definitely some. They're definitely out there. But it's really like easy to make friends because everyone's trying to do the same thing. I don't know. It's just such a fun experience, and there's so many different ways to play. Like when I play, I'll get like super addicted to it for like months, and I'll either pick a skill to grind, or I'll be like, okay, I'm tired of grinding that skill, I'm gonna do something else. Or like now I just want to like go talk to people, so I go to the Grand Exchange, which is kind of where everyone gathers, and talk to them. Or I want to do like a drop party where I follow this random guy around and he's gonna drop like a bunch of things I can sell for money. stuff like that. It's just so fun. It's so dynamic. There's so many different things to do. It's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is enlightening for me as someone who knows nothing about this game or MMOs in general. I think I need to try an MMO one of these days. I don't even know what I would pick, but um, it's interesting.
It's very user friendly. Like, you don't have to have thousands of hours of experience to actually get it. Like, there's a whole built-in tutorial that you'll understand. It's super easy to follow. It can be intimidating, but like if you have a seasoned expert like me in the free to play area, I can show you the world.
I definitely knew people at school that played this. I don't know, I guess none of my close friends were ever on it. I
I
never got
made
roped into it.
I've made a lot of like actual friends, people that I've never met in my entire life that I still like talk to now through this game. And
That's
then also
awesome.
like it was super common in my elementary school. Like all the guys played it, even some of the girls played it, which was weird back in the day, obviously. But we were before they got like really weird about things that you could play at school. We used to play it at school all the time. All the time.
Really weird. Like, weird, like they don't want you to be focused on video games at school.
Well, I mean, they have it's a lot more censored now, and you can only visit certain sites and blah 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 blah. But back in the day, they didn't care. It wasn't as controlled back in the day. But I remember one of my
Yeah.
friends, he was French. So he wasn't a foreign exchange student, but like he would come here for a couple months and then go back to France for a couple months. But it was so fun because we were really good friends in the game, and so he moved to France for a long time, and then I still got to play with him while he was in France at school. It's like, hey, he's
That's
on.
awesome.
And they're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Back in 4th, 5th grade, it was very fun. Love that game. I still played it. I played it the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's enough. I will never talk about it again.
I doubt that. Every month when I ask you what you've been playing, you will inform me that you've been playing more RuneScape.
It's so good. It's so good.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Thank you.
Although, I think Rayman 2 would have been a cooler one to end on, so maybe you should have gone first. But whatever.
Sorry. Well, we can cut it and rearrange it. So anyway, what did you do for R? Is it Rayman 2?
Awesome. We did it. Let's talk about some listener responses. And since you just talked a lot, I will take on the Discord right now, and then we can do the
Sweet.
Instagram responses.
Yep.
So in the Discord, you asked. Oh, hang on. Let me switch these headphones real quick because this one's battery is quite low.
Oh no.
Okay, in the Discord, you asked, what is your favorite game that starts with the letter R and why? Bonus question. What about the letter Q? So, Resident Evil. Oh no, we're gonna skip those two and come back to them. Okay. Cosmic in Discord said, "Legend of Relda, Breath of the Wild," with a Scooby. Yeah. She said, jokes aside, Red Dead Redemption 2. If I'm answering honestly, and as for Q. Only Qbert comes to mind. Love Red Dead Redemption. Don't love Qbert, but it is the only one that comes to mind for me as well. Andre said Resident Evil 4. Definitely an iconic game. Chris, X Button Gaming, said, I have to go with Resident Evil 2 Remake. I love the story, the action, the pacing, the characters, the ambiance. It's such a fantastic game. Claire and Leon are fantastic protagonists, and I don't think there are many enemies more terrifying than Mr. X. I love the whole RE series, and there are a few that vie for the top spots, but 2 Remake always seems to stick as my favorite in the series. Hannah, you're a big Resident Evil fan, right?
Yeah, I love it. I really love being scared at every opportunity.
I have not played a ton of Resident Evil, but this game looks awesome, and I feel like you are in the... From what I have seen, people love 4 Remake, which one did people not really like? I think it was 3 remake. I was gonna say you're in the minority, but I think people did love 2 remake. Anyways, I need to play that for sure. Thank you for the response, Chris. Oh, this was a really good one. Now I Rock a Teller Suit said Quiplash. You've played Jackbox Party, right?
Nope.
Oh, Jackbox Party is like, I'm not just telling you, you might have heard of it, but for the listeners, Jackbox Party is like this, it's like the ultimate party video game. It's like you can have way more than 4 players because people can join from their phone and just like go on the web browser and join this game. It's incredible. But one of the mini games in Jackbox Party Pack is Quiplash, which is a great game for sure. Yeah. Oh, we got 2 more here. Daily Beating said Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time. Got a PS3 that was bundled with it and Little Big Planet. I only wanted Little Big Planet and played that for weeks, and then finally decided to try Ratchet and Clank and loved it. Played most of the games in the series since then. Good answer, good choice.
That is a good one for art. Didn't even think of that.
And Red Faction Gorilla. We got Inflamed Drumming VA responded Red Faction Gorilla. I think that might be a. Oh, he said 360. I don't know. I don't know what console that was on. The reason why is because the destructible environment for that era was mind-blowing. Granted, it wasn't the Frostbite engine, but regardless, it blew my 13-year-old mind greatly and still does to this day. Plus, the story was really good in my opinion, especially the last 2 or 3 missions, as you're gearing up to raid the main EDF base in the EOS sector / Mount Vogel area of Mars. That's a lot of words that I don't know what the heck they mean. My favorite game that starts with Q is Quake 4 on the 360 because it was my introduction to that specific universe when I was around 10 or so years old, and I remember being so shocked in a good way with the gameplay / plot. Those are great answers, my friend. Thank you for the response.
Those are good answers.
Unfortunately, we have no idea. We have no experience with Red Faction or Quake. But I'm pretty sure they're both FPSs. I mean, I know what Quake is, but I think Red Faction is also an FPS. Yeah, good choices, man. Unique choices for sure.
Good stuff.
And let's hear from the Instagram gallery.
So I on Instagram asked a different letter. I asked what was your favorite game starting with the letter M. And this was my first response, and it it made me chuckle. They said, Jesus 1984 says, Baldur's Gate 3. Not to be confused with Baldur's Gate 3 that just came out. No. Baldur's Gate 3.
Interesting.
That one made me laugh. That was a good one. Let's see. We have Sticky Pillows says Metal Gear Solid. And he says, because it was the first game I owned on the PS1 and the first game that made me feel like I wasn't just playing a game.
I think that is a very solid choice, but I want to know why the pillows are sticky.
Right. I agree. Sticky with 2 E's. Let's see. Shadow the Hobbyist said Metroid, Mega Man, and Midnight Club. All good answers.
Nice.
Let's see. Following that, we have Danny GCU3 says Metroid in all caps. Sean Nielsen said Metroid Prime. So you could see a theme here. And then More Bros said Metroid Zero Mission, changing things up here. He said Zero Mission brings the original pattern or platform adventure game into the, quote, modern age with a map, Titan controls, and an extended story.
Well put.
That was
also
fun.
The first 3 Metroid answers were not saying the first Metroid game. They were just saying the entire series of Metroid.
I know, but that's like one of the big ones that starts with M that everyone just knows. Also, adding to that, we have designed by Ampersand says Metroid Samus Returns. So that one's specific.
Excellent.
Also, Sarah Iverson 9 says Metroid because it's awesome.
That's a good reason.
Yep. Let's see. Another one is mixing it up a little bit. We have Gamer by Mistake says Monster Hunter Stories. It felt like it was really pushing the hardware to its limits. Just fire, she says.
I cannot
Also,
speak to the stories games, but I don't know. We don't need to roast Monster Hunter every episode.
I think if I were to play a Monster Hunter game again, which probably won't be for another 10 years, Stories is probably where I would go. Because it feels like it's not as just attack this monster. It's like, ooh, go collect this monster and hatch this egg and explore this world.
Yeah.
And last we have Ben Strohecker says Medal of Honor because I enjoy a good FPS and the gameplay it brings.
I'm pretty sure he is a big Medal of Honor guy. That's a good choice. Those games were always good back in the day before Call of Duty ran them out of business.
Wah wah. Wah wah wah. But yes, all good responses. I knew Metroid would be very popular. Guess what? I was right.
Were there no Mario answers, or did you just skip them all?
No, not a one.
No one's ever heard of Mario. That's crazy.
I know. I shouldn't have said don't say Mario right there in the question.
Oh, is that what you...
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say it at all.
All right. Well, thank you guys for the responses, as always. Yeah, make sure to follow Hannah on Instagram at GameGirlAdvanceSP, and make sure to join the Discord so you can get your opportunity to be featured in the podcast. We appreciate all the responses.
Absolutely.
Let's do some gaming news real quick, Hannah.
Boom.
Go ahead.
I just have a few things here. First, Nintendo's releasing a pair of pastel pink Joy-Cons to go alongside the release of Princess Peach Showcase. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same pastel pink that's in the pink and yellow pack, but now you're just getting two. You're getting a right and a left, so that's fun if you're into that, if you have a Joy-Con problem like myself. Next thing, 3DS and Wii U online play will end as of April 18th or April 8th, so play online till then. Yay. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting new spirits, including ones from Hades, 13 Sentinels, and Power Pros, which I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age are now on Nintendo Switch Online. I believe if you have the expansion pack, GBA is included in the expansion pack. So that's fun.
Yeah.
I will probably play those at some point. Those are, like, great RPGs.
That's what I've heard.
On also, the last thing I have, just thought it would be interesting to discuss, is the Pal World versus Pokemon controversy. Don't know if you followed that.
Yep. Looks like they are in danger of Nintendo's wrath.
Yeah, I feel like considering that they made a lot of things with AI, there's not really that many laws kind of dictating what you can and cannot do with AI, which I think is interesting. But I'm very interested to see if they can actually get into legal trouble for that. Because they're not the same, but they're very, very similar.
It's like all my social media is filled with is like Nintendo versus Power World the last 2 days, but yeah, I guess you bring up a good point. This could be an important debate, an important fight for Nintendo, and I think it could say a lot about AI creating things and what they are and aren't allowed to do. Could be a pivotal moment here.
I think the legal term is set a precedent for other cases to come for AI, but I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's the terminology. But yeah, it's interesting. This might actually start the conversation about AI in video games, or just in general, really.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And that's all I got for the news. Just a few things.
I think I will play some Pal World soon, just because it is on Game Pass and it does seem fun. But we'll see. I'm not super eager to play it.
Could you play cross-gen with PC?
You cannot.
Ah, Really? Well, not cross-gen, but cross-platform, I mean. Dang, really?
I believe not yet because the game's still like in early access. I'm sure they're planning it for later though.
Boo.
You would have played Pal World with me? Was that why we're getting a boo right now?
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess you're gonna have to play RuneScape instead.
That's fine with me. I'll put another 1,000 hours in.
The
Woohoo!
only thing that you didn't mention from my list is there's a new 3DS game coming out, physical, folks. Um,
Oh.
Limited Run announces the final 3DS game, apparently. I'm going to put final in quotations because there could be more, but their final 3DS game, and it is Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, and it already exists in physical 3DS formats, so I think that is incredibly lame. Um,
Wait. So they're just reprinting it again, or like what's happening?
a different publisher made it in 2019, and now, for some reason, Limited Run is like, hey, we're going to make this game. And like their whole shtick is like, hey, we produce games that don't have physical copies, and it's like, what are y'all doing? Why are you making? You got some cartridges from Nintendo or whatever, and this is your final chance. This could be like used on an indie game or something that doesn't have a physical copy, but instead you're gonna give us a variant of a game that already exists. I think it's lame,
Boo. I agree. Also lame.
and they're gonna make thousands of dollars off of it.
Of course. Don't they always?
You buy any games lately, Hannah?
Did I buy any? No.
Okay.
I was gifted some.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my on time Christmas gift, what I'll say, your gift to me was Red Dead Redemption on the Switch, which I'm very excited to play. I know I talked about that not last episode, 2 episodes ago? Whenever you talked about it.
Yeah, it was probably November.
Anyway, you sneaky got that one for me, so I'm very excited. It's a pinnacle of Western storytelling. And then Moving Out 2, which I mentioned earlier, but me and my friends started playing, I don't know, we maybe played a couple levels. But it is, like I said, a little more nuanced than the first one, but still just as fun and just as hectic. I love it.
That makes me excited for it. I guess instead of replaying Overcooked 2 when I finish it, I'll get that game.
It is a little bit different than Overcooked. It's kind of a different vibe, but still just as fun. I mean, it really is fun. Like, I don't know if you remember the first one, but you could just like smack people randomly.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, it's really fun when you go up behind somebody and smack somebody, but now you smack them across the room. And that's
No
kind of how you
way.
get over like gaps and stuff. Yeah, if they jump and you smack them at the same time, they go flying. It's awesome.
That is genius. I love that.
See, little more nuanced. Like I said, very fun though.
I will keep an eye out for a sale. That sounds awesome.
And then the other thing I got was the Noah and the Mio Xenoblade Chronicles 3 amiibo, which was back ordered from Target, but I finally got it. Very excited. I now have all of the Xenoblade Chronicles amiibo, and that makes me very excited.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
All boxed up with the rest of your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They're still in their boxes. Oh, I forgot. My mom got me not Monster Hunter. Oh, hell no.
Thank
Dragon
God.
Quest Monsters. Dragon Quest Monsters for the Switch.
Nice. So you played... What did you play? You played Dragon Quest Builders, right? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Both 1 and 2, yeah.
Cool. You haven't started that yet?
No, not yet, because I still have to play Treasures first.
Nice.
But it was Christmas, and she was like, what do you want? I was like, I want that.
Very nice.
And that's it.
I have not hardly bought anything, I guess, because I couldn't find much to write down, but I bought Skyrim. I was like just making lists of games that I should own from a collectible standpoint, and like Skyrim, I've never played this game. I barely know anything about Skyrim. I just know that it's like one of the most iconic games of all time, and It was like $6 with free shipping, so I said, yeah, give me that.
Bargain. On what?
I got it on 360.
Very nice.
I also bought Wii Music. Same deal. This game sucks. I played this like a little bit as a kid. This game is trash, but I was like, there are so many Nintendo first-party games that I don't own on the Wii. Like, I need to get so many games. And once again, $6 free shipping. So that's on the way to my house.
Bargain. Wow.
Screw all that boring garbage though. I got like this new Rayman PC game from Europe. It just arrived in my mailbox. I haven't even picked it up yet, but it is Rayman teaches something. It's in a foreign language. I don't know what he's teaching, but he's got a bunch of these like educational games in Europe for the PC, and this is a beautiful big box game that I did not own, but the best part of it, Hannah, is that it came with a Rayman pen. And this game still has the pen.
Whoa.
I can't wait. I think I'm going to make a video about it because I'm so freaking excited.
What does the pen look like?
It's big. I haven't seen it really. I mean, I saw the picture on the box, but it's like a large, oversized pen. It's yellow, and it's got some Rayman crap on it. I don't know.
Beautiful.
I also have Pikmin 3 coming in the mail. I had like I don't know about you or anyone listening. I just like woke up one day and had a $10 off Mercari coupon. And I was just very happy to see that. That's not like an everyday occurrence. So that was pretty sick.
That's awesome. The Wii U version?
I spent it on the Wii version of Pikmin 3. So
nice.
I have 1 through 3 now. And then let me tell the audience about some freaking personal and incredible Christmas gifts that you gave me, Hannah.
Yeah.
They came in like this week. So Merry Christmas in January. I'm just kidding. I don't care. The first one I got to talk about is Mother 3. I got a little Repro GBA cartridge, and I think that is incredibly thoughtful. You've had to sit here and listen to me talk about how much I love Earthbound over the last year. I can't wait to play Mother 3. I'm not pumped to play Earthbound Beginnings on the what is it? The NES Online on Switch, but I will be playing that. But Mother 3, man, I talked about it like a year or two ago on this podcast, and it just looks like such an awesome game. I can't wait to play that.
It's fun. It'll be fun.
I got a ROM hack for my favorite Castlevania game. It's called Super Castlevania 4 Another Castle. Or is it Other Castle?
I think it's Other Castle.
Super Castlevania 4 Other Castle. Haven't tried it yet. Never even heard of it, but I am pumped, and that was incredibly thoughtful. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Terranigma, which I often get mixed up in my head with Subterranea for some reason. Similar letters. Terranigma never came to North America. You hooked me up with a boxed copy of this Repro Super Nintendo game. It is pretty freaking nice. It's going to look great on the shelf, and I am excited to try it out. It looks like an awesome little 16-bit RPG. Looks very similar to, the top-down games, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, all the good stuff from that era, and I am pumped. I've already been jamming the soundtrack. It is pretty solid.
All right. Nice. Good to hear.
And then a couple of Switch games. One, Dokapon Kingdom Connect, which I can't wait to freaking play, man.
I'm so excited.
That's an awesome looking game. I don't know. I did some research on it a few years ago. It looks like a Mario Party game of sorts, but it's also an RPG. Is that your understanding?
Yep. I agree. Yep.
I can't wait to play that. And No More Heroes 3, which I don't have any experience with that series.
Me either, but it was really cheap, and I was like, yeah, why not?
Heck yeah. Thank you for the gifts, my friend.
You are very welcome.
Okay. What have you played in the last 30 to 40 days, Hannah?
I have played the heck out of the first Bait and Kados on the
Hey,
remastered collection that I got. It
well, tell me all
is
about that.
so good. Well, I don't know if we want to do like an episode on like our recent playing games because it's definitely one I'd want to talk about. But it's like
Okay.
I don't really like turn-based things except for if it's like Mario RPG or like Pokemon. But like when you add a card playing aspect to it, I fucking love it, dude. It is so much fun. I knew immediately that I would like it. It's very much like a kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles, but obviously it's not like that kind of 3D. It's like kind of weird quasi 3D-esque kind of thing. But the combat is all card based. So like you have specific cards that are for offense, you have specific cards that are for defense, you have items that heal you or give you like a buff or like whatever it is. But like it's so intricate, and it's like the way that you play the cards, like you can either play like a sequence like a 1 2 3 4 and it'll give you like extra bonus points, or you can play like 2 2 3 2 2 3, and it's like, oh, you had 4 of a kind and then 2 of a kind. It's like bam, you're gonna do like massive damage. It's very
Oh,
strategic,
wow.
but in like a really nuanced kind of way.
Interesting.
And so I didn't know, because I looked it up, if I should play Origins first or if I should play, because Origins is the prequel but it was released later on, or if I should play the first one first. But I reached out to like a Reddit because I didn't know what to do, and they're like, you should play them in the order that they were released, because the first one, Lost Oceans and Eternal Wings or whatever it is, has the weaker card based kind of combat, and if you play the Origins first, you might not like that one as much. So I was like, okay, deal. So I'm loving it in this game, so I can't imagine what it's going to be like in Origins. Very
Well,
excited to
that's
find
freaking
out.
exciting.
And the story is very much like a Xenoblade Chronicles game. The art style is really, really interesting. Just imagine like the map or like the overworld that you're kind of traveling around is like either like a stained glass painting or like a static thing, and you're kind of just moving around in it. And it doesn't make sense, maybe the way that I'm saying it, but like the map doesn't move, but like your character gets bigger and smaller as it moves. Like it's really big close to you up to the screen, and then as you move away, your character gets like smaller.
Yeah, I got
It's
you.
it's very confusing to explain, and you're like, yeah, that's how things happen, but like it looks very different than other games that I've played. It's like you're walking through a painting.
Is this remaster just like a graphical overhaul, or did they add other things?
I think it's just graphical. So yeah, I have enjoyed it thus far and am very, very excited to play Origins at some point. But we got a lot of things to play before.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I actually just bought Origins yesterday. It'll probably be here in like 2 to 3 weeks. It's coming from a faraway land,
Of Canada?
of South Korea.
What?
Yeah, I
Really?
know this guy who collects North American games. He lives in South Korea, and I don't know. I think he's got a duplicate of Baten Kaito's Origins, so it is on its way to my house.
Wow. How much did you pay for it? Because when we saw it at Half Price Books, it was like $800.
It was like $200 back then, 2 or 3 years ago. The game has dropped immensely. I got it for $68.
Wow, that's a bargain.
So yeah, from one man's shelf collecting dust onto my shelf collecting dust for eternity.
Very nice. I will say that if you like RPGs and you are a fan of Monolith Soft and you like card games, this is like the weird niche game for you.
Very cool.
And let's see. What else have I been playing?
Oh,
Oh,
is there
dude,
more?
Monopoly on the Switch
Oh, heck
slaps,
yeah.
dude. It's so fun.
Didn't you say there was a Rabbids board?
Yeah. So it's made, well, I don't know if it's developed by Ubisoft or if it's published by Ubisoft, but I looked on, they have living boards and they have classic boards. The living board is like the map is kind of like 3D. It's got like all this interactive like fun like city townscapes or like roller coaster rides or like whatever it is in the middle. And then like the classic boards, which I thought was just gonna be like a digitalized version of the regular board, which it is, but there's also like for fucking whatever reason like a Rabbids board. Like where Rabbids are just everywhere and everything is like Rabbids themes.
What is
It's
classic
crazy.
about that?
I don't know. I really don't know, but they're everywhere. It's wild. When I sent you a snap, I was like totally gobsmacked. It makes sense because it's Ubisoft, but like it's just so random and out of place. And why is it a classic board?
I love
It's
it.
so weird. But me and my friend have gotten super into Monopoly. And it's great because we're just obviously two people, so playing the board game of Monopoly is not super fun. You're definitely going to be pit against each other, and you're going to be like, it's just you and them, so you're going to be like pit, like argue and whatever. So with this one, you can have either play online with random people, or you can have CPUs, like random AI bots, and you can kind of change their difficulty. So there's like really easy, normal, and then hard. And we've been playing with hard because obviously they have more of a, I don't know, they're more prone to like make themselves win and you lose. But we've also figured out that the game will just roll in your disadvantage and their advantage every single fucking time. So
What?
like it was just between me and this one dude. And this one dude, well, CPU, he had all the railroads, so 4 railroads, and he had 3 other properties at one point. And then once I like bankrupt him a little bit, he had to sell those properties. So you only had the 4 railroads, and I kid you not, I rolled a 10 every single round and landed on the railroads and had to pay 200, 200, 200, 200. I was like, that is statistically impossible, my dude,
That's
to
dumb.
land on railroads every single time I rolled the die. So it's still fun and I still won, but like at the same time, it's like, could we be a little more fair?
Yeah.
I don't know. And nobody cares about Monopoly, but it's very fun.
I could see myself breaking out a modern Monopoly on Switch before I like busted out the freaking board game, because I'm really not a big fan of board games, but I could see myself busting it out on like Switch and maybe enjoying myself.
That's funny because I was like, there has to be more board games on Switch, and there's not. It's just Monopoly.
Oh, you got to get some Wheel of Fortune action going.
Well, I mean, they have Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, but that's not like a traditional board game.
Yeah.
I want like Clue. I want like Life. I want Trouble. All those fun ones.
That
but
is
nope,
surprising.
just Monopoly. They're holding strong up there by themselves.
What else?
Moving Out 2, which we already talked about, and that's it. We tried to start Hogwarts Legacy because I've had that since November, and me and my friends are like super big Harry Potter fans, so we wanted to like play it together despite that it's a single player game. I opened it up to play it, and it needed such a large day one patch that it was going to take an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, man.
And that's like with the good internet. So we are like, maybe not.
That's lame.
Yeah, so we'll play that one day, but it was not that day.
I hear it's like a walking simulator, which I don't even know what that means exactly, but I mean, I've heard great things about it.
Well, it's like, if you like Hogwarts and the world of Harry Potter, then you're definitely going to enjoy it. But if not, it feels like it's maybe not a game for you.
Yeah.
But I'm excited nonetheless.
I recently just barely scratched the surface of Axiom Verge 2, which I believe was a birthday present from you last year.
Yep.
I think I'm going to play that game in handheld. I think it'll be a great game to like lay in bed or sit on the couch and watch TV and play, just because
Yeah.
I really feel like a game that's like 8-bit like this or whatever, like a 8-bit clone, doesn't need to be spread out. The pixels don't need to be spread out across my 65-inch television. I think it's going to look beautiful on the OLED. But yeah, like so far, I'm only like an hour in. It feels like it's going to be a great time. Didn't play the first game, but I will go back and play it if this game is good.
Right. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just needed like a 2D game to play. I feel like I'm not playing any 2D games right now.
Need a 2D debrief from all the 3D.
I beat Bowser's Fury, which everybody told me was incredible. It's good. I like the game. I don't really know why I don't feel the same love for it that everyone else seems to have for it, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good game.
That's strange coming from you.
It is. I mean, have you played it?
No, I hate that game.
No, you don't hate Bowser's Fury. This is literally Mario 64 in like 3 hours. It's like a 3-hour game, and it's literally is nothing like 3D World.
Well, then maybe you should lend it to me the next time I'm up there.
There we go. Still got still got 2 of your cartridges over here.
I know. You're just keeping them warm for me, right? You'll give them back.
I finished Mario Wonder. Obviously a fantastic game. Loved every minute of it. Definitely going to 100% that. It's been like 6 weeks since we recorded because we did an early December episode, so I've played quite a bit. But
Right.
Sonic Superstars, real quick, I just gotta mention I really freaking loved that game, and it seems like everybody else hates it, so that sucks. But I loved that game. It was awesome. Would recommend.
That's how I feel about seven. What is it? Seven Rings and the other one. Everyone's like, those ones
Oh,
suck.
Secret
I
Rings.
liked those. Secret Rings, yeah. And what was the other one?
There was a werewolf one called Unleashed.
Nope, not that one.
I forget.
There's another
Black
one for the
Knight.
Wii. Yeah, that one was fun too.
Um, I've been getting back into Tilt and Tumble, Kirby Tilt and Tumble on Nintendo Switch Online. I think that's a fun little game. It uses the gyro controls. It used the gyro on the Game Boy Color, um, and now it's using the Joy Cons. I think it's pretty fun. It's challenging, and it
Is it
plays
really?
well. It's pretty good. Probably a short game. It's taken me a long time to. I don't know. I took a long break from it, but I'm gonna try to beat it in the next few weeks. I think.
I totally forgot about that one. Kind of slipped under the radar there.
Finally finished Crash Bandicoot 4, but you know what I really want to talk about, Hannah? I have been diving into Final Fantasy 7. I don't know if I mentioned that last
Ooh.
episode, but
I don't know, but I knew you were playing it. That's exciting.
yeah, it's pretty freaking cool. I'm playing it on the PlayStation, um, the original PS1 version of the game, and I'm enjoying it. Like, obviously, it is the game that people are obsessed with, and people will call it the greatest game of all time forever. And so far, it's living up to like the hype. It's pretty fun. I'm probably 10 hours in now. So like, you start out the game with like the first 8 hours ish is like linear, and for the most part, and then like the game actually opens up after that. Um, and so I feel like I've talked to people who have played it, and they're like, yeah, you're just getting started now. Once you get open world, like you're just getting started. So that kind of scares me as someone who plays short games, but I'm committed.
Scary. Are you so invested in the game that you will play the remaster at some point?
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that the it's not a remaster, like it's a full on remake. And so
I mean remake. Yeah.
it's like not, I don't know what you know about it. It's not even um turn based anymore. It's freaking a completely different game. It's an action RPG. Um, I will definitely play that.
It still follows the same story and the same characters though, right? Or is that also changed?
Well, that's the cool thing is it does follow the same characters and story, but the story does change. Like it's almost like a reimagining. And I think for people that have grew up
Oh.
playing this game for 25 years, like it's super super cool to see like an alternate plot.
That's fun. We need that with like Ocarina of Time. I feel like that would be a really good one to get a whole reimagining.
That's got to be somebody's got to be working on that.
I hope so. I really do.
um but I'm into the story as well. The story is very good so far, and the gameplay is very good. It's a very good game so far, and I'm enjoying it. Taking it slow, playing it a couple times a week. But yeah, so good. So far so good.
Well, that's good. You've almost convinced me to play it, but I don't own it, so I can't.
I'm pretty sure that's a digital game on the eShop you can pick up, and I've heard that game is like picking it up on a modern platform like that is the better way to play in 2024 because you can like speed it up and stuff, and you can even turn off random encounters, which seems crazy, but
Huh.
yeah, you might like that.
Maybe. Maybe.
Let's wrap up this extremely long episode, Hannah. Dang, I had 11 pages of notes. I didn't even realize. No wonder it was so long.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Um, you can always message me on Instagram about anything game related. I also like anime and Marvel things. So don't ever feel afraid. Even though I don't post anymore, don't be afraid to message me. I'm still on there. I still support my friends and everything. So yeah, also look out for questions that I ask. Usually, I don't know, it's usually the middle of the month or towards the end of the month for the questions to be shouted out. So definitely look out for that. And other than that, nope.
And what's that Instagram username?
Game Grill Advance SP.
Thank you guys for listening. I am at Bird Dog Gaming on all the social medias. And yeah, come hang out in the Discord, chat with us. And we will see you guys in February for another exciting episode of the Unlockable podcast.
See ya.